Imagine stepping into a quiet Victorian town as the evening mist curls along narrow cobblestone streets, drifting like a soft veil over rooftops and doorways. Gas lamps flicker gently with golden light, illuminating brick walls, iron railings, and the faint shimmer of dew on window panes. The glow stretches across the stones beneath your feet, warm yet muted, casting delicate shadows that shift slowly as the lamps sway in the gentle breeze. Somewhere nearby, a modest hearth crackles in a family home, sending warmth and faint aromas of baked bread, simmering tea, and burning coal into the air. The scent mingles with the cool evening mist, carrying faint memories of the day just past. The streets are largely silent, broken only by the occasional clatter of a carriage wheel over uneven stone, the soft shuffle of footsteps, or the distant coo of a pigeon returning to its rooftop perch. Life in this town moves deliberately, with a rhythm that encourages calm observation and quiet presence. Among these streets walks the postman, a figure both ordinary and vital, dressed in a simple coat and cap, his leather satchel resting securely against his shoulder. His daily routine is unhurried but essential, carrying letters, parcels, and small bundles that hold the connections between families, friends, and local businesses. Each step is measured, deliberate, and purposeful. Each pause to deliver a letter or parcel is performed with care, mindful attention, and an almost meditative focus. The townspeople know him well, recognizing the familiar sound of his boots on stone and the quiet respect with which he handles each item. His route threads through winding alleys, past narrow shop fronts, over small bridges spanning calm canals, and alongside closed market stalls, all bathed in the soft glow of evening lamps. The postman's work, while repetitive, carries its own rhythm and poetry. He lifts letters and feels the texture of envelopes under his fingers, notices the subtle differences in handwriting, and checks wax seals or folded corners. Parcels are balanced carefully in his arms, each one positioned to protect its contents. He pauses at each doorway to place a letter into a mailbox, lift it to a hand, or set it gently on a doorstep, ensuring that nothing is disturbed and that each delivery is complete. These actions are simple, yet each carries significance. A single letter might bring comfort to a distant relative. A small parcel might deliver a child's long-awaited toy. A note might connect a merchant to a customer. Each gesture, however small, contributes to the quiet network of human connection that makes the town feel alive yet calm. As he walks, the town itself seems to move in gentle harmony with him. Narrow lanes open onto small courtyards where climbing ivy, potted herbs, and tiny flowering shrubs lean toward the fading light. The soft rustle of leaves in the evening breeze, the faint chirp of a bird settling for the night, or the distant lapping of water against a canal bank forms a quiet soundtrack to his steps. Occasionally, he notices a stray cat slinking along a wall, pausing to listen, or a dog resting in the doorway of a house, its tail flicking slowly in acknowledgement. Everything is small, deliberate, and unhurried. Even the architecture seems designed to slow the mind. Brick walls, Rottian gates, wooden shutters, and patterned cobblestones all invite measured observation. Walking these streets is a form of meditation, each step reinforcing a rhythm of careful attention, mindfulness, and presence. The satchel he carries is worn smooth from years of use, a companion as familiar as the streets themselves. Its leather is supple yet strong, its straps molded to his shoulder, the interior lined with carefully folded letters, sealed envelopes, and small parcels wrapped with string. He feels the subtle weight of the contents, the gentle friction of paper against leather, and the quiet comfort of holding familiar tools of his trade. Each item is treated with attention and respect. Even the simplest envelope is considered. With care, he runs his fingers over handwriting, noting the curve of letters, the indentation of pen on paper, and the faint scent of ink that rises when an envelope is opened. This tactile engagement, repeated daily, forms a rhythm that is both practical and meditative, connecting him to the lives of others in subtle but meaningful ways. As the postman progresses through the town, he passes the silent market square, now empty of vendors but rich with memory. Wooden carts lean against one another, waiting for the morning bustle, and stacks of crates and baskets rest quietly, their surfaces darkened by evening dew. The faint aroma of dried herbs, baked bread, and hay lingers in the air. Nearby, a small fountain trickles steadily, the water catching the lamplight and reflecting it in gentle, moving patterns. He pauses, watching the ripples dance over the stone edge, listening to the soft gurgle of water and feeling a calm settle in his chest. Even during routine work, these small, unnoticed moments offer serenity and remind him of the quiet beauty surrounding his daily tasks. Every street he walks, every doorstep he approaches, and every parcel he delivers is an opportunity to observe, reflect, and connect, not only with the people he serves, but with the rhythm of life itself. Light from the lamps glimmers on damp cobblestones, mist drifts across garden gates, smoke rises in slow spirals from chimneys. He notices the interplay of shadow and illumination, the way sounds layer over one another, the distant clatter of a cart, the creak of a shutter, the faint murmur of a family gathered for dinner. All of these textures, the sights, sounds, smells, and tactile sensations coalesce into a sensory tapestry that defines the pace and rhythm of his work. Following him through the misty streets, you begin to perceive the extraordinary within, the ordinary. There is poetry in his measured steps, beauty in the care with which letters are handled, and calm in the quiet interaction between people, objects, and spaces. His presence is reassuring, a constant thread weaving through the lives of townspeople, a reminder of stability, order, and quiet diligence. The rhythm of his day, walking, observing, delivering, pausing, forms a gentle meditation, not loud or urgent, but persistent and sustaining. So as you lie back, close your eyes, and imagine these streets. Let the gentle motion of his boots, the flicker of lamplight, the faint aromas of bread and coal, and the subtle sounds of the town guide. Your breath, let the rhythm of letters being placed, parcels being delivered, and doors quietly opened and closed carry you into a reflective, calming state. Allow yourself to drift with the soft cadence of Victorian life, where even the simple steps of a postman can embody patience, care, and the understated beauty of everyday work. Here, in this quiet town, life moves slowly but meaningfully. Each small act, each familiar street, each gentle observation invites calm, mindfulness, and a sense of continuity that spans time. The postman's footsteps remind us that ordinary tasks, approached with attention and care, can be a form of meditation, a bridge between past and present, and a source of quiet wonder. The morning begins slowly, with the pale brush of light gently spilling over the rooftops of a quiet Victorian town. A thin mist lingers over cobblestone streets and slate rooftops, softening the outlines of chimneys and shop signs, and muffling the distant sounds of the day about to awaken. The air carries the cool dampness of dew, mixed with faint scents of wood smoke and damp earth. In this gentle light, the town seems to breathe softly, stretching from quiet residential lanes to the broader thoroughfares that will later hum with activity. Everything is still, measured, and unhurried, a world suspended between night and day, offering a serene backdrop for the start of daily routines. Among the early risers is the postman, moving with deliberate care as he begins his day. His satchel, worn soft by years of use, rests comfortably against his shoulder, waiting to be filled with letters, parcels, and bundles that carry the weight of countless stories. Before stepping onto the streets, he takes a moment to organize. His materials. Letters are sorted carefully, folded along neat creases, each envelope inspected for address, seal, or stamp. Small parcels are placed gently within the satchel, balanced so that each item can be retrieved without jostling the others. Even the simple act of preparing the bag becomes meditative, a rhythm repeated each morning with the same deliberate attention. The quiet of dawn allows for these small, thoughtful motions to be appreciated: the slight rustle of paper, the faint scent of ink, the subtle smoothness of leather against skin. Outside, the town is just beginning to stir. The faint crow of a rooster echoes from a nearby yard, a soft announcement of morning's arrival. Occasionally, the distant lowing of cattle drifts from the outskirts, carried along mist-laden streets. Birds begin to shake off dew from their feathers and hop along fence tops, their gentle calls punctuating the otherwise hushed atmosphere. Footsteps echo softly as a baker moves toward his early oven, the scent of fresh bread hinting at warmth and sustenance yet to be shared with townsfolk. Windows open slightly, letting out the faint aroma of brewing tea or porridge. Each detail is small but rich in life, and the postman moves through it with deliberate mindfulness, noticing textures, sounds, and scents that would go unnoticed by someone rushing through the day. He begins by reviewing the first letters of the day, noting which ones require early attention. Perhaps there is a message meant for a distant relative who relies on the earliest delivery, or a note for a local merchant expecting correspondence. To arrange daily trade, the responsibility, while ordinary, carries a quiet significance. Each envelope represents connection, care, and intention. Handling them requires focus and gentleness. Each paper is examined, smoothed, and positioned to maintain its integrity. Even the folding of letters, done with careful alignment and attention to corners, becomes a ritual, an act of respect for the correspondence and its sender. The mist begins to lift slightly as he steps outside, brushing a gloved hand across the satchel to ensure that everything sits comfortably for the journey ahead. The soft cobblestones beneath his boots offer a familiar texture, the uneven stones shaped by centuries of footsteps before him. The air is crisp, tinged with the smell of damp brick, the lingering warmth of nearby ovens, and the faint aroma of morning dew on grass. As he walks toward the first stop on his route, each step is purposeful, measured, and rhythmic. The town's streets are quiet, yet alive with subtle movement. The flicker of light from lampposts, the swaying branches of early blooming trees, the occasional ripple of water from a nearby canal reflecting the soft glow of dawn. Passing the small market square, the postman observes crates stacked neatly at the edge, prepared for the day ahead. Vendors are still absent, yet their stalls seem to hum with potential, the promise of vegetables, fruits, and handmade goods that will soon fill the air with scent and motion. He notices the tiny details, the alignment of cobblestones near the fountain, the way water pools in shallow depressions, the way a stray cat stretches along a sun-warmed wall, blinking slowly as it surveys the quiet surface. Even in these small, unnoticed moments, there is a sense of order, beauty, and calm. The process of beginning a day is not hurried. Each task, from checking the satchel to arranging letters, is performed with care and reflection. The postman pauses at each step to breathe in the cool air, feeling the mist lightly coat his eyelashes and the gentle brush of fog on his coat. He notes the subtle shift of light over rooftops, the way shadows lengthen and shorten across brick walls, the faint sound of water dripping from gutters or a fountain edge. Each observation enhances his awareness, embedding him within the slow, unfolding rhythm of the town. As the first birds start to sing, heralding the approach of day, he adjusts the straps of his satchel, ensuring that parcels and letters are secure. The soft leather cushions each item, and the organized interior allows him to retrieve items efficiently without haste or disturbance. There is a sense of meditation in these repeated movements, the careful sliding of paper, the gentle positioning of parcels, the subtle adjustment of satchel balance. The act of preparation itself becomes a gentle ritual, setting the tone for the entire day. He moves past narrow residential streets, where shutters are just beginning to lift and windows glow faintly with early light. Inside, families stir quietly. A mother arranging breakfast, a child rubbing sleep from their eyes, an elder sipping tea by the window. Each home carries its own aroma, a mixture of baked goods, firewood, and subtle hints of herbs. The postman senses these small details without intrusion, recognizing that each household is a living part of the town's rhythm. Stepping onto broader streets, the town awakens gradually. Shop signs swing lightly in the breeze, the faint creak of wood accompanying their motion. Chimney smoke drifts lazily across rooftops, blending with the morning mist. Small gardens behind Rottian fences release the gentle scent of dew-covered flowers, lavender, and mint. The postman pauses briefly to observe a flower bent by night rain, a bird perched delicately on a fence post, the reflective shimmer of canal water catching the first weak light of sun. These observations are small, fleeting, yet they shape his awareness and set a calm tone for the day ahead. By the time he reaches the first stops on his route, he has fully embraced the rhythm of the morning. Deliveries are made with care. Letters slide into mail slots. Parcels are placed gently at doorsteps. Envelopes are handed to waiting hands. Each exchange, while brief, is significant. There is a sense of continuity, an unspoken acknowledgement that these small gestures carry trust and connection. He notices reactions, a brief smile, a nod, the slight adjustment of a curtain revealing eyes watching from within. These quiet human interactions infuse the routine with warmth and purpose. The mist has now lifted further, revealing more of the town's textures: the uneven cobbles, the weathered bricks, the worn iron railings, and the subtle variations in shop fronts and doors. Each step the postman takes is accompanied by the faint rhythm of his boots against stone, a quiet metronome that mirrors the town's gentle pulse. The letters in his satchel continue to represent connections yet to be made, small threads linking people across space and time. By mid-morning, as the sun rises higher and shadows shorten, the postman has established the flow of his route, each motion sliding letters, adjusting parcels, stepping over a puddle, pausing for a moment of observation, is deliberate, unhurried, and rhythmic. The day unfolds in a series of meditative moments, and though it may seem ordinary to an observer, there is poetry in the care, attention, and quiet dedication of this work. Each delivery, each step, each small observation is part of a slow, intricate dance with the town, its people, and the steady passage of time. In these early hours, there is also an emotional layer to his work. There is satisfaction in completing small tasks with care, contentment in observing subtle details, and quiet joy in being a part of the town's network of connections. The routine brings stability, comfort, and purpose not through grand gestures, but through the accumulation of small, mindful acts. Every letter, every parcel, every measured step embodies a rhythm that soothes both the worker and those he serves. As the morning continues, the postman's awareness deepens. He notes the gentle sway of trees in the breeze, the sound of water dripping from eaves, the soft cooing of pigeons, and the slow unfolding of light across rooftops. The town, bathed in pale sunlight, moves gradually toward the busier hours, yet his attention remains anchored in careful observation, mindful preparation, and gentle interaction. Each task, though simple, is imbued with intention, from lifting letters to adjusting parcels to pausing briefly at each doorway. By the time the first full light of day illuminates streets and courtyards, the postman has completed the initial steps of his morning routine. The satchel is organized, letters are ready, parcels are secure, and the town has fully awakened to the rhythm of daily life. The quiet meditation of dawn has prepared him to continue through the day with calm attentiveness, delivering messages, observing the environment, and maintaining the steady pulse of connection that defines his role. Through these slow, deliberate steps, we come to appreciate the gentle art of beginning a day, the beauty in mundane preparation, and the rhythm of life in a Victorian town. The postman's routine reminds us that even in ordinary labor, there is room for observation, mindfulness, and quiet reflection. Each letter delivered is a small thread in the fabric of community. Each parcel handled with care strengthens the ties of connection, and each step taken with attention contributes to a serene, measured pace that frames the entire day. Before the town fully awakens, the postman steps softly into the streets, moving with measured care over cobblestones dampened by night mist. The early hours are quiet, almost suspended, with only the faint flicker of gas lamps punctuating the darkness. Pools of soft golden light illuminate doorways, shop fronts, and brick walls, creating a rhythm of shadows and gentle illumination. Every stone beneath his boots seems to carry memory, centuries of footsteps, wheeled carts, and quiet conversations layered beneath the surface. The town feels both familiar and slightly dreamlike, as if the night itself has yet to release its hold. A light fog rises from the river, curling along narrow lanes and filling alleys with soft, damp air that smells faintly of earth, water, and smoke. The postman's breath is visible in the cool morning air, rising in gentle clouds with each slow exhale, blending with the mist as he moves forward. The first letters of the day are carefully arranged in his satchel, each envelope representing a connection, a story, or a message waiting to be received. He pauses for a moment to check the order, ensuring that each item is positioned to be delivered with ease. The routine is deliberate. Each morning begins with this quiet attentiveness, a practice that roots him in the rhythm of the day before the town fully awakens. His hands brush against the satchel's leather, noting its familiar texture, the worn softness molded over years of use. Each movement is calm, intentional, a meditation in itself. Even the small motion of adjusting a letter within the folds of the bag carries significance. As he proceeds along familiar lanes, the postman observes the subtle details of architecture illuminated by lantern light. Doorways, some simple, others adorned with carved wood or ironwork, catch the glow differently, casting shadows that stretch across the stone. Window panes glimmer faintly, reflecting flickers of flame from hearths or lamps inside homes. The contrast between light and shadow forms a quiet visual rhythm, as if the town itself is breathing gently, welcoming the early steps of its postman. Each house, each shopfront, and each corner holds its own quiet story, a detail to be acknowledged, respected, and absorbed. The postman's boots make a steady, measured sound on the stones, a cadence that seems to harmonize with the town's slow awakening. Occasionally, a cat moves silently across a fence or window ledge, its paws making no noise, a shadow among shadows. Birds, still settling from the night, call softly from rooftops and tree branches, adding a delicate, sporadic note to the soundscape. Even the wind participates in this quiet symphony, rustling the edges of shutters, moving the mist gently along the streets, and causing lantern flames to flicker with soft, rhythmic dance. The postman, immersed in this gentle atmosphere, moves through it as both observer and participant, his presence measured, calm, and unhurried. Deliveries are approached with mindfulness. He pauses at each doorstep, feeling the subtle variations in step height, the roughness of stone thresholds, and the placement of mail slots or door handles. Letters are placed with care. Parcels are adjusted to avoid jostling their contents. There is an intimacy in this work, a tactile engagement with the town and its inhabitants, even when they are not present to witness it. The postman's attention to small detail, how a letter is set, how a parcel is balanced, how the bag rests against his body, reflects a gentle respect for the unseen lives connected by these deliveries. The morning mist begins to shift as he continues, rising in delicate spirals above rooftops and curling along the edges of narrow streets. The air carries a combination of river moisture, damp earth, and faint smoke from early hearths, mixing into a soft, comforting aroma. Occasionally, the postman pauses to inhale, letting the cool, fresh scent fill his lungs. Each pause is deliberate, a small moment of stillness within the flowing rhythm of movement. The sensation of mist brushing his cheeks, dampening his coat slightly, and cool air touching exposed skin becomes part of the meditation of walking through sleeping streets. Passing the small market square, he notes the absence of vendors. Empty crates and stacked baskets form muted geometric patterns, while stray leaves and puddles glimmer with reflections of lantern light. The fountain in the square trickles gently, its waters catching faint gleams of illumination as the mist curls around its stone edges. A single pigeon steps cautiously near the fountain, then takes flight with a soft flutter of wings, disturbing only the quiet. The postman observes these small, transient events, appreciating the rhythm and quiet choreography of the town's slower moments before the bustle of the day. Side streets reveal more intimate details of domestic life. Shutters open slightly, revealing warm glows within kitchens or parlors. The faint aroma of baking bread or morning tea drifts through open windows. Families still half asleep stir quietly, a mother brushing a child's hair, a father pouring tea, a child reaching for slippers at the edge of a bed. Each subtle detail of life unfolds gently, without hurry, offering the postman glimpses into the human routines that underpin the town's rhythm. Even the simple act of noticing these moments, pausing for a breath, noting the movement of shadows, appreciating the fragrance in the airs, a quiet pleasure embedded in the work of walking and delivering. As he moves further, bridges over small canals present reflections that shimmer softly in the morning light. Water flows slowly beneath, disturbed occasionally by a floating leaf or the faint ripple of a fish breaking the surface. The postman slows his steps, allowing the visual harmony to enter fully into awareness. Shadows from wrought iron railings and low stone walls stretch across the surface, creating a fleeting interplay of dark and light. The gentle lapping of water against stone adds another layer to the town's subtle soundscape, mingling with footsteps, bird calls, and distant roosters. At each delivery point, there is a repeated but not monotonous pattern. Letters are placed, parcels adjusted, mail slots inspected for wear, and the satchel rearranged as needed. The tactile engagement with paper, string, and leather maintains the rhythm, while allowing for mindfulness and reflection. The postman's eyes often wander to the edges of the streets, noting the texture of bricks, the patterns of dew on window ledges, and the delicate sway of plants along the pathways. Each visual cue becomes a gentle point of connection with the environment, turning the simple act of walking and delivering into a meditative practice. Even minor interruptions, such as a door opening to reveal a sleepy resident, a cat darting across a lane, or a sudden clatter of dropped kizar, absorbed calmly. The postman adjusts his pace, acknowledges the moment, and continues without disruption to the meditative flow. His focus is both internal and external, aware of his physical rhythm, the contents of his satchel, and the life unfolding in the streets around him. The blending of observation, movement, and purposeful action establishes a slow, harmonious cadence that defines the early hours of his work. Time passes gently. The mist continues to lift, the sky brightens gradually, and lantern light fades. As morning light strengthens, the postman's route progresses steadily, weaving past familiar houses, small gardens, and quiet shops preparing for the day. Each step, each measured motion, reinforces the continuity of the town's rhythm. He notices subtle seasonal changes, the soft tilt of early sun on frost or dew, the fragrance of budding flowers, or the shifting patterns of light across walls and pavement. These elements enrich his awareness, grounding him in the daily unfolding of life and nature. As the first sounds of broader activity emerged, the creak of shutters being raised, the distant rolling of a cart, or the faint hum of conversation, the postman's awareness remains focused on measured, deliberate movement. Each interaction, each observation, each small gesture maintains the calm rhythm that defines his role. By moving slowly, paying attention to detail, and allowing the environment to unfold naturally, he preserves the serenity of early morning, creating a gentle bridge from night to day. By the time the town is fully awake, the postman has completed his first round of letters, established the morning rhythm, and absorbed the quiet beauty of sleeping streets. Each step, each delivery, and each careful observation has contributed to a meditative pace, instilling mindfulness, attentiveness, and calm. The soft interplay of light, mist, architecture, and human presence forms a sensory tapestry that underscores the simple poetry of his work. Even in repetition, there is subtle richness, as every day offers a slightly different pattern of shadow, scent, and sound. Through this measured walking, through careful handling of letters and parcels, and through sustained observation of streets, architecture, and human life, we come to appreciate the quiet art of early morning in a Victorian town. The postman's footsteps trace a path of calm, diligence, and gentle connection, reminding us that even ordinary routines can carry subtle beauty, mindfulness, and serenity. The rhythm of these streets, their shadows, light, mist, and muted sounds, guide the observer toward a reflective state, showing that slow, deliberate engagement with daily life is a practice of presence and peace. As the morning progresses, the postman returns to the local post office, a modest brick building tucked along the quieter side of town. From the outside it appears unassuming, a small wooden sign above the door, the faint smell of ink and paper wafting through open windows, but inside, the space is organized with care and rhythm. Wooden pigeonholes line the walls, each slot assigned to a street, a neighborhood, or a cluster of houses. Nearby, bundles of letters, parcels, and envelopes are stacked neatly, awaiting their careful distribution. The atmosphere is calm, even while the volume of correspondence is substantial. Here, the focus is not on haste, but on precision, the slow unfolding of methodical tasks that transform what might seem like mundane repetition into a form of quiet meditation. The postman sets his satchel aside, allowing the soft thud of leather on wood to mark the transition from the walking rhythm of the streets to the stillness of indoor work. The faint scent of ink rises from opened envelopes, mingling with the subtle aroma of damp paper and polished wood. Each bundle is handled with gentle attention. Letters are examined, smoothed, and then guided into their designated slots. The postman's hands move slowly, deliberately, appreciating the texture of paper against fingers, the slight resistance of folded parchment, the weight of parcels balanced carefully in his palms. There is an almost tactile satisfaction in the process, a rhythm created by repeated, precise motions. Each letter slid into its slot brings a quiet sense of accomplishment, a measured progression through the morning that steadies the mind and sets the tone for the day ahead. Wooden pigeonholes are organized with careful attention to detail. Each slot bears a small label, written in neat script, denoting a particular street or household. Some are familiar long-standing addresses whose residents receive daily or weekly correspondence. Others are newer, temporary, or less frequent. The postman approaches each section with attentiveness, gliding letters into place with minimal sound. The soft scraping of paper against wood, the gentle thump of bundles as they settle, and the occasional rustle of folded envelopes create a subdued symphony of movement. Even the most repetitive motion is layered with subtle variation. A slightly heavier parcel, a thicker stack of letters, a folded envelope tucked carefully at an angle. These small differences are noted, and the postman adjusts his handling accordingly, blending precision with mindfulness. The routine of sorting is interspersed with careful checks. Names are read aloud softly, almost to oneself, a whispering confirmation of the intended recipient. Addresses are confirmed against labels, folds are straightened, and envelopes are aligned neatly. The postman pauses occasionally to inspect a particularly thick bundle, ensuring that the weight is distributed evenly and that no item will be overlooked during the route. Even the smallest gesture, a slightly adjusted flap, a corner smoothed with a fingertip, carries significance, a commitment to care that honors both the sender and the recipient. In this way, the act of sorting becomes more than administrative labor. It becomes an exercise in attentiveness, respect, and quiet focus. Ambient sounds within the post office contribute to the gentle atmosphere. A clock ticks rhythmically on the wall, marking the passage of time without urgency. The faint scrape of chairs, the soft rustle of paper, and the occasional cough from a fellow postal worker punctuate the otherwise calm space. Windows are open just enough to let in cool air and muted street sounds. A distant cart rolling over, cobblestones, birds fluttering along the edge of the building, or the faint echo of morning chatter from nearby markets. These background details weave into the postman's experience, providing gentle contrast to the stillness of the sorting desk while reinforcing a sense of connectedness between the quiet interior and the awakening town outside. Parcels require particular care. Some are lightweight envelopes, easily guided into pigeonholes, while others are small packages, wrapped in brown paper and tied with string. Handling these parcels involves a slightly different rhythm. They must be balanced, placed carefully, and sometimes stacked for later collection. The postman lifts each parcel, noting weight and shape, adjusting its position in his hands, and gently setting it into a basket or slot. There is satisfaction in the organization, the small triumph of order over apparent chaos. Each completed section of pigeonholes, each neatly aligned stack, brings a sense of quiet mastery, a tangible accomplishment that remains subtle yet deeply grounding. Sorting also allows for reflective observation. The postman notices the slight variations in envelopes, the thickness of paper, the texture of ink, the impression of a wax seal. Some letters carry decorative handwriting, perhaps flowing cursive or precise block letters. Others are more utilitarian, their purpose purely functional, yet even these are handled with attention. Parcels reveal more about their senders and intended recipients. The faint aroma of herbs from a package of dried leaves, the subtle weight of a carefully packed gift, or the rough texture of twine used to secure contents. Each item tells a story before it even leaves the post office, and the postman becomes attuned to these narratives through tactile, visual, and olfactory observation. Methodical repetition is key to the calm rhythm of sorting. As letters are guided into pigeonholes, the postman moves at a pace neither hurried nor slow, simply steady. Hands glide over paper, envelopes are aligned, bundles lifted, and slots adjusted. Each movement prepares the postman for the next delivery route, establishing a flow that will continue throughout the day. In this flow, there is meditation. The repetition of gestures fosters focus, creating a quiet mental space where attention is directed and distractions fade. Even the simplest action, smoothing a crease, checking a name, or sliding a letter into its slot, becomes part of a larger practice of presence and care. Occasionally, the postman pauses to attend to particularly delicate or important correspondence. A thick envelope may contain legal documents or personal letters of significance. A small parcel may bear fragile contents. Handling these items requires extra attention. The slight shift of weight is noted, Folds are smoothed more deliberately, and placement is adjusted to avoid unnecessary jostling. The focus and care applied to each piece ensured that the work is both precise and mindful, reinforcing a deep sense of responsibility and attentiveness that quietly defines the day. The environment itself supports this calm workflow. Sunlight, now climbing higher in the sky, filters through windows, casting a gentle glow across the pigeonholes and desks. Shadows shift slowly, tracing the contours of parcels, letters, and furniture. Dust motes float lazily in shafts of light, moving almost imperceptibly, and the warmth of the sun slowly counterbalances the early morning chill. Each sensory smooth surface of wood, the faint scent of ink, the touch of paper enhances the postman's awareness, grounding him in the meditative rhythm of the task at hand. There is also a social rhythm within the post office. Colleagues, though few in number, engage in small, quiet gestures, a nod, a brief comment on the weather, or the careful passing of a parcel. Communication is minimal but meaningful, maintaining a sense of shared purpose without disturbing the overall tranquility. The postman is attuned to these subtleties, responding with awareness and consideration. Even in the presence of others, the work remains personal, a balance of individual focus and quiet cooperation. As the morning unfolds, the postman completes sections of pigeonholes, reviews bundles, and adjusts stacks. The steady pace, punctuated by small pauses for inspection and adjustment, ensures that no item is overlooked. Mistakes are rare because attention is continuous, and the environment encourages calm, sustained focus. By mid-morning, the process of sorting has created order from what initially seemed like a chaotic accumulation of letters and parcels. There is satisfaction in this transformation, a tangible sense of accomplishment that is subtle, enduring, and deeply calming. Through all these actions, the postman maintains awareness of the town beyond the post office walls. Each envelope and parcel represents a human connection, a message to be delivered, a relationship maintained, a moment of reassurance for someone awaiting news. The postman's role, while ordinary, carries a quiet significance that permeates the entire day. Handling correspondence with care, observing subtle details, and maintaining rhythm transforms routine work into an unspoken service, an act of mindfulness, and a gentle thread in the social fabric of the Victorian town. By the time the first delivery rounds approach, the postman has absorbed the meditative qualities of sorting. Hands, eyes, and mind are fully engaged in a rhythm of attention, and the environment has shifted from early morning quiet to the soft murmur of a town beginning to stir. Letters are prepared, parcels are organized, and the satchel is ready to be loaded. The calm precision cultivated in the post office now prepares him for the careful, measured movement through streets and doorways, a continuation of the meditative practice begun with sorting. In this way, the simple act of handling letters and parcels, organizing pigeonholes, and performing repeated gestures with care becomes more than work. It is a mindful engagement with the rhythms of life, a practice of observation and attentiveness, and a slow, grounding preparation for the day ahead. The postman's routine demonstrates that even the quietest labor carries significance when approached with thoughtfulness, patience, and presence. Each letter and parcel, carefully sorted and attended to, contributes to the seamless continuation of connection across the town. Oves quietly to the small corner of the post office where his leather satchel rests. The bag has seen years of service, its surface smooth from the gentle friction of repeated handling, edges slightly darkened by age and the passage of countless mornings. Lifting it carefully, he feels the familiar weight settle against his shoulder, a comforting pressure that signals the start of another day of measured work. Every strap has been inspected, buckles polished, and the lining checked for wear. Even the faint smell of aged leather carries a sense of history, a quiet reminder of countless letters delivered, parcels carried, and the unbroken rhythm of routine. The satchel is more than a container. It is a companion, a steady presence that bridges past and present, embodying the tangible continuity of work that has persisted for decades. The leather, supple yet sturdy, is worn at the points where the postman's hands most often grasp it. The strap, once stiff, now rests comfortably against his shoulder, molded to the shape of his body. There is a gentle reassurance in this familiarity, a tactile affirmation that the weight of the day is manageable and predictable. Each clasp clicks softly, a subtle sound that resonates in the quiet post office. The postman runs his fingers over the surface, noting the small scratches and creases that tell a story of daily care. Careful loading and unloading, and the occasional bump against door frames or stair edges. These marks, far from being imperfections, serve as a record of dedication, a history written in leather and thread. Inside the satchel, letters and parcels are arranged with meticulous attention. Bundles of correspondence are grouped by street, parcel, and importance. The postman adjusts the contents slightly, shifting heavier envelopes to the center for balance, ensuring that no item is folded or creased unnecessarily. The careful placement of each piece transforms a simple bag into an organized, efficient system, supporting the smooth unfolding of the day's route. Handling the mail becomes an exercise in mindfulness. The postman notices the weight, texture, and even the slight aroma of paper and ink. The satchel's contents, though ordinary, carry the responsibility of human connection, and this awareness guides every deliberate movement. Tools accompany the satchel, each chosen for reliability and durability. Stamps, neatly stacked in small boxes, await careful application. Sealing wax, stored in a tin, gleams faintly when touched, ready for letters requiring a special attention. Ink pads, scissors, and string occupy small compartments, each tool within easy reach, yet organized to maintain calm and efficiency. The postman inspects these objects with habitual care. A stamp checked for adhesion, a wax seal rolled gently between fingers, a string coil untangled and ready. Every motion is unhurried, deliberate, and comforting, reinforcing the quiet rhythm of preparation before stepping into the streets. The satchel and its companions are not merely tools, they are extensions of the postman's routine. As he adjusts the straps, feeling the gentle resistance of leather and metal against his hands, he reflects on the meditative nature of handling such objects daily. Each fold, clasp, or adjustment carries familiarity and intention. Even the smallest imperfections, the fraying of a strap, the faint scuff on a corner, serve as tactile cues, connecting him to the continuity of previous days, months, and years. This gentle awareness turns routine preparation into a calming ritual, a pause for mindfulness before the busyness of the town awakens. Every morning, the postman notes the subtle changes in his satchel. Leather softens differently in winter than summer. Straps stiffen slightly in cold weather and relax. With warmth, the weight of letters changes with seasons. Heavier parcels during harvest festivals, lighter correspondence in quieter months. Observing these variations informs his handling, ensuring comfort, balance, and ease throughout the day. The postman becomes attuned to these subtleties, transforming what might otherwise be mundane preparation into an act of quiet observation and care. Even the act of lifting the satchel, positioning it on his shoulder, and adjusting it against his side carries rhythm and intent. The postman moves slowly, aligning weight, testing balance, and ensuring that the bag rests comfortably. This process is accompanied by small tactile checks, feeling for any sharp edges of parcels, ensuring envelopes are not bent, and confirming that the satchel flap secures properly. The repeated, deliberate movements cultivate focus, calming the mind and fostering awareness of physical presence. In these moments, the satchel transcends function, becoming a vessel of mindfulness, rhythm, and quiet grounding. The postman's satchel also carries symbolic weight. Each letter within represents human connection, news of births, updates from distant relatives, invoices and orders for local businesses, invitations to social events, or simple greetings between neighbors. Handling these items carefully honors their significance, embedding intention into every motion. Even parcels that seem ordinary contain subtle human narratives, and the postman's careful management of these items reflects empathy, attentiveness, and responsibility. The weight of the bag is thus doubled, physical and emotional, embodying both tangible labor and the quiet care inherent in connecting lives. As he secures the satchel for the day, the postman pauses to consider the tools accompanying him. Stamps are lined up neatly in rows, ink pads pressed flat, sealing wax shaped and stored safely. These instruments, small but essential, are maintained with precision. Every morning, he ensures that adhesives are unblemished, scissors sharpened, and string coils tidy. The act of preparing these objects is as deliberate as checking the satchel itself. Each gesture reinforces rhythm, order, and intention, creating an atmosphere of calm preparation. The postman then steps toward the door, satchel resting securely, and takes a moment to feel the weight against his shoulder. The leather is warm from handling, the metal of buckles smooth under his fingers. The balance of parcels and letters within gives a sense of security, a tactile reminder that his tools are reliable and familiar. This small confidence allows him to move through the day with measured pace and gentle focus, attentive to both the environment and the responsibilities carried within. Each step is guided by awareness of weight, texture, and rhythm, integrating physical sensations with the broader task of connection and delivery. Walking through the quiet post office, he passes by colleagues preparing their own routes. There is no rush, only steady movement, careful preparation, and the occasional soft acknowledgement. The satchel, now fully loaded, is more than a bag. It is a symbol of readiness, of measured labor, and of engagement with the town. The postman feels this symbolism in every strap, clasp, and fold. Its presence reassures him as he steps into streets, alleys, and corners where the rhythm of delivery unfolds. Outside, the cool air brushes against his face. The weight of the satchel is noticeable but comforting. Its familiar pressure, a tactile anchor amidst the shifting landscape of streets, light, and mist. Each parcel and letter moves gently within, shifting slightly as he adjusts his pace or navigates a narrow lane. The postman's awareness of this subtle movement ensures that he handles each item with care, preserving both their physical integrity and their symbolic importance. The act of walking, balancing, and observing forms a continuum of rhythm, connecting indoor preparation with outdoor execution. Throughout the morning, the postman maintains a quiet awareness of his satchel. Each delivery reinforces the intimate relationship between carrier and cargo, the gentle heft of paper and parcels, the reassuring tension of straps against shoulders, the tactile pleasure of handling familiar tools. Even as the streets grow brighter and townspeople begin their daily routines, the postman moves with measured care, guided by the knowledge that his satchel is a constant companion, carrying not just items but trust, connection, and continuity. As the day progresses, occasional pauses allow the postman to check the satchel, adjusting contents, confirming the position of letters, and ensuring parcels remain secure. These small moments of attention are meditative, reinforcing awareness and presence. The bag's weight, familiar texture, and gentle sway act as reminders of rhythm and responsibility. Even in seemingly mundane repetition, there is a subtle beauty, the integration of tactile, visual, and kinesthetic senses into a unified, calming experience. By the time the morning deliveries near completion, the postman has cultivated an intimate knowledge of his tools. The satchel carries not only letters and parcels, but also a sense of structure, predictability, and gentle discipline. Handling its weight, observing its contents, and moving with deliberate care transform ordinary labor into a meditative practice, one that underscores the quiet dignity and mindfulness inherent in routine work. Every day concludes with returning the satchel to its post office corner, cleaning and arranging parcels for the next morning. Straps are adjusted, clasps checked, and leather brushed. The postman observes subtle marks, prepares tools, and notes the familiar comfort of a bag that has served faithfully. The satchel, resting now, carries the memory of the day's journey, awaiting the next morning when its weight will once again become a companion in the measured, gentle rhythm of work. Climbs slowly over the rooftops of the quiet Victorian town. The postman continues his route, stepping lightly onto streets that are still bathed in the soft gold of morning light. His leather satchel rests securely against his shoulder, now slightly heavier from the letters and parcels that will soon find their way to waiting hands. The rhythm of his boots on cobblestone is steady and predictable, echoing softly through narrow lanes and winding alleys. Each step carries the same gentle purpose: to deliver messages, parcels, and tokens of human connection while moving through spaces that are both functional and quietly beautiful. Some of the early deliveries lead him to houses with small gardens or intimate courtyards. Here, the town's rhythm slows even further. Narrow pathways curve between low hedges, flower beds brimming with blooms, and the soft green of climbing vines brushing the brickwork. The postman pauses for a moment at each gate or doorway, feeling the faint warmth of sunlight on his back and the delicate fragrances that drift from mint, lavender, and thyme. Even the simplest courtyards reveal layers of care, carefully raked, gravel, pots arranged just so, and small water basins that reflect the morning sky. In these spaces, the interplay of human presence and cultivated environment is most evident, and the postman's movements are measured with respect for the serenity of the setting. Delivering letters here becomes a slow, meditative practice. Each envelope is lifted with intention, read carefully to confirm the correct recipient, and then gently placed in the waiting hands of a resident or inside a neat mailbox. Some parcels are light, almost weightless, while others bear the subtle heft of carefully wrapped contents. Handling these items demands mindfulness, and the postman engages fully with the task. His senses are tuned to touch, sight, and sound. The slight rustle of leaves overhead, the distant hum of morning activity, and the occasional chirp of a bird in a nearby tree blend into a calm, layered soundtrack, enhancing the gentle rhythm of delivery. Courtyards, though small, reveal the quiet artistry of daily life. Simple arrangements, a pair of chairs tucked beneath a vine-covered trellis, a low stone fountain murmuring softly in the background, a row of herbs on a windowsill capture care and attention without extravagance. The postman notices these details as he moves slowly through the space, pausing briefly to adjust his balance, shift the weight of his satchel, or ensure a parcel rests safely without disturbing the careful order of the garden. These small observations are both aesthetic and practical. Awareness ensures that nothing is damaged, while the visual pleasure of organized living spaces enhances the meditative quality of his work. Every delivery carries with it a sense of continuity. Letters bridge the distance between people, maintaining connections and sharing news. Parcels, sometimes small gifts or practical items, reinforce social bonds. The postman's role, though quietly performed, is essential in maintaining the rhythm of communal life. Each visit to a courtyard is an opportunity to observe, to move gently, and to integrate himself into the subtle patterns of domestic spaces. The weight of the satchel, the careful placement of letters, and the mindful steps across flagstones all contribute to a seamless blending of duty and quiet appreciation. The sensory experience is nuanced and rich. Herbs release their soft fragrances when brushed by a passing sleeve. Petals glisten with dew, and the morning sunlight shifts gradually. Across brick and stone, the postman senses variations in texture underfoot. Flagstones, compacted gravel, and patches of soft earth each provide feedback to his steps, guiding movement and reinforcing mindfulness. Even slight changes in temperature or humidity are registered through the leather of the satchel, the fabric of his coat, and the cool air brushing against his face. In these details, ordinary work is transformed into an intimate engagement with environment and moment, an exercise in observation and presence. Some courtyards include small water features. A shallow basin reflects sky and foliage, sending gentle ripples across its surface as the postman passes. The quiet sound of trickling water harmonizes with distant bird calls and the faint rustle of leaves, creating a layered ambient soundscape that soothes both body and mind. The postman adjusts his pace to the rhythm of the space, moving lightly and deliberately, mindful that his presence should not disturb the calm carefully cultivated by the resident. The act of walking, observing, and delivering becomes part of the environment itself, a subtle integration of human action and serene setting. Sunlight gradually strengthens as the morning progresses, casting longer, warmer shadows and highlighting the colors and textures of each courtyard. Brick walls glow gently, wooden doors appear rich and warm, and the subtle green of leaves is illuminated with soft brilliance. The postman notes these variations in light and shadow as he moves, adjusting his pace to avoid startling birds, stepping lightly over stones that glimmer with dew, and positioning parcels to rest safely in the available space. Even slight changes in illumination affect how letters are handled, which objects are touched first, and the order of delivery, demonstrating the postman's attentiveness and the seamless integration of work into environmental awareness. Many of the gardens carry traces of human history. Worn paths indicate where feet tread most often. Moss collects in shaded corners, and flower pots show subtle signs of care and replacement. The postman's movement interacts with these histories gently. He steps along worn paths with respect, avoids disturbing delicate plantings, and places letters and parcels with consideration for the environment. Even in repetition, each courtyard feels unique, each day slightly different. The work requires adaptability and quiet attention, reinforcing a sense of connection to both the space and the people who inhabit it. In addition to visual observation, sound shapes the postman's experience. The soft scraping of boots on gravel, the muted thump of parcels against mail slots, the distant clatter of a gate opening and closing, and the gentle buzz of early insects form a subtle rhythm. These sounds are not distractions but companions, marking the flow of time and movement. The postman's awareness of acoustics guides his steps, ensuring that even the quietest residents are not disturbed, and enhancing his own mindfulness as he moves through each courtyard. Interactions with residents are brief yet meaningful. A nod, a soft greeting, or the careful placement of a letter into a mailbox creates subtle human connection. The postman notices smiles, gestures of acknowledgement, and fleeting expressions of curiosity or gratitude. These small social exchanges reinforce the gentle rhythm of his route, blending routine with empathy and observation. Even without extended conversation, each delivery fosters a sense of continuity, community, and subtle relational awareness. Some courtyards include pets or livestock, whose presence introduces another layer of attention. The postman moves carefully around small dogs or chickens, adjusting his steps and pace to avoid startling animals. The sound of a soft bark, the flutter of wings, or the gentle movement of a cat weaving between flower pots becomes part of the morning's rhythm. These interactions, though minor, require mindfulness, observation, and adaptability, transforming routine delivery into a dynamic and responsive engagement with the environment. Deliveries also include attention to practical details. A parcel may need to be placed out of the sun, a letter tucked under a protective cover, or a bundle adjusted to prevent tipping. The postman's hands, trained by years of careful handling, move deliberately to ensure stability and safety. The process is methodical. Inspect, adjust, place, and step back. Each movement is integrated into a larger flow, balancing physical labor with aesthetic and social consideration. Through these gestures, the postman's role transcends simple delivery, becoming a form of quiet care that bridges people, objects, and spaces. Time passes gently as he progresses through multiple courtyards. Morning light shifts, shadows lengthen, and the town slowly awakens around him. Each space leaves a faint impression: the scent of herbs, the sight of dew-kissed petals, the texture of worn flagstones beneath boots. These details accumulate, creating a mental map of sensory experience that informs subsequent movements. The rhythm of delivery becomes intertwined with the experience of place, producing a calm continuity that carries the postman through his morning route. By mid-morning, the postman's satchel is lighter, some letters and parcels having reached their intended destinations. The remaining items are organized and balanced, adjusted carefully to maintain comfort and stability. The sense of progression: letters delivered, courtyards traversed, connections maintained, creates a subtle satisfaction. Each completed task reinforces mindfulness, presence, and the meditative quality of routine. Even as the postman leaves, a final courtyard for the next stretch of streets, the morning's calm lingers. The fragrances of herbs, the glow of sunlight on brick, the soft textures of leaves and stone remain imprinted in memory. These quiet observations, collected in small moments of engagement, highlight the interplay of human presence with cultivated environment. Work, observation, and beauty coalesce into a serene rhythm, a gentle flow that sustains both the postman and the town he serves. In this way, morning deliveries through courtyards are not only functional, but deeply sensory. Sight, touch, smell, and sound converge to create an immersive experience. Each gesture, step, and interaction is measured, intentional, and reflective, transforming ordinary labor into a quiet art of mindfulness. The postman's attentiveness to small details: the placement of a parcel, the alignment of a letter, the avoidance of disturbing foliage, reinforces a sense of care and continuity that mirrors the precision and calm cultivated in the gardens themselves. By the time the morning route through courtyards is complete, the postman has moved through a meditative landscape. Each delivery, each pause to observe a flower, each moment of tactile engagement contributes to a cumulative sense of calm and awareness. The physicality of carrying parcels and letters, the rhythm of walking across flagstones and gravel, and the engagement with subtle sensory details create a harmonious integration of labor, environment, and presence. The postman steps out of the final courtyard, the sun now higher, illuminating the town with steady warmth. His satchel, lighter than at the start of the morning, rests comfortably against his shoulder, ready for the next set of deliveries. The memory of gardens, courtyards, and attentive human interaction lingers, a quiet imprint on his mind that informs every subsequent movement. Morning has passed gently, each step measured, each delivery intentional, each sensory detail absorbed and appreciated. Of mist lingering over the Victorian town, casting a gentle glow on cobblestones and rooftops. The postman lifts his satchel, feeling the familiar weight settle comfortably against his shoulder, and steps toward the bridge that arches over the quiet river at the edge of town. The bridge, constructed from worn wooden planks, reinforced with iron, creaks faintly beneath his steady steps, a soft, rhythmic accompaniment to his movement. Each board holds the memory of countless footsteps, of mail carried and parcels delivered, a subtle echo of human life, intertwined with the passage of time. From this vantage, the river below moves in languid motion, its surface catching patches of sunlight and reflecting the delicate shades of early morning clouds. The postman pauses briefly to take in the scene, appreciating the gentle play of light and shadow. He notices the way the water ripples against the stone supports, the occasional swirl created by a drifting leaf, and the faint reflection of nearby trees along the banks. Even small movements, say an errant feather floating downstream or the ripple caused by a distant duck, catch his attention, drawing him into the quiet rhythm of observation. This is a moment of stillness in his day, a pause that allows the mind to settle, breathing alongside the natural cadence of the flowing water. The bridges of the town vary in structure, some crafted from stout stone with moss lining their edges, others simple timber constructions, worn smooth by countless crossings. Each one carries the subtle scent of the river below, mingled with morning mist and the faint aroma of earth and grass along the banks. The postman moves with deliberate care, ensuring that his satchel is balanced and his footing secure, yet allowing himself the quiet pleasure of noticing details, a small flower growing in a crack between stones, the texture of iron railings, worn by weather and hands over time, the gentle pattern of water shadows dancing across the underside of the bridge. These observations transform what could be an ordinary passage into an immersive sensory experience, blending human presence with the steady, calming flow of nature. The rhythm of walking over bridges is different from streets or courtyards. Here, the sound of each step resonates against wood or stone, harmonizing with distant bird calls, the murmur of water, and the occasional splash of a fish breaking the surface. The postman's awareness of sound guides his pace, encouraging slow, mindful movement. The soft creak of planks, the muted thump of leather against wood, and the faint brushing of the satchel strap against his side create a layered symphony, a combination of natural and human-made rhythms that is both grounding and restorative. Each step reinforces a sense of presence, drawing attention to the delicate balance of movement and stillness that defines his daily routine. Alongside the bridges, the riverbank offers glimpses of daily life at a more leisurely pace. Early risers may be tending small plots of herbs or vegetables, their movements measured and quiet, blending into the natural scenery. The postman notices the way smoke rises from chimneys, curling into the morning air before dispersing into the mist. Ducks glide across gentle currents, and the subtle ripple of reeds swaying with the wind adds texture to the scene. Even the distant reflection of a laundry line, with sheets swaying softly, captures the understated, calm poetry of ordinary life. Each element, though small, contributes to the layered experience of crossing a bridge, the convergence of water, sky, and human habitation, observed through steady, attentive presence. Some bridges offer shaded areas, where stone walls provide shelter from sudden breezes or soft sunbeams filter through overhanging branches. The postman sometimes pauses here, adjusting his satchel and noticing the tactile qualities of his leather strap, the familiar weight of letters and parcels nestled within. These micropauses allow him to observe the river's surface, noting how light dances across ripples, how patterns change with subtle shifts in wind or cloud cover. He notices small aquatic life, a fish gliding near the surface, or insects skimming water, the details forming a quiet narrative of the morning that is both calming and engaging. In these moments, movement and observation intertwine, transforming transit into meditation. Crossing a bridge also provides a different perspective on the town. From this height, rooftops appear softened by distance, chimneys releasing gentle puffs of smoke, and streets taking on the muted tones of early day. The postman observes alleyways, courtyards, and small gardens from above, noting the interplay of sunlight and shadow, the subtle hues of brick and stone, and the slow awakening of daily life. Even as he continues on his route, these visual observations contribute to a sense of continuity and connection, integrating his work with the town's rhythm and landscape. The bridge becomes a vantage point, not only for navigation but for reflection, a quiet space in which to align the mind and senses before resuming the delivery route. Waterways themselves have been subtly shaped to facilitate both beauty and practicality. Wooden planks and stone supports allow for crossing, while small channels and sluices guide water movement, preventing flooding and erosion. The postman is aware of these features, noting how engineering harmonizes with natural form. Moss and lichen cling to stone edges, softening hard surfaces, and small plants grow between cracks, adding gentle touches of green. Observing these interactions fosters appreciation for human ingenuity quietly integrated with nature. The postman's route over bridges, therefore, is not only functional but educational, revealing the subtle connections between craftsmanship, utility, and aesthetic calm. Reflections on water provide an additional layer of sensory experience. The postman notices clouds mirrored on the surface, distorted by gentle currents, or a leaf floating downstream, following its own slow trajectory. These reflections invite quiet contemplation, encouraging the mind to wander while remaining anchored in observation. Each parcel or letter in his satchel is mirrored in a sense of care and attention. The same deliberate mindfulness applied to handling correspondence extends to noticing natural details. Movement, observation, and reflection intertwine, creating a layered, restorative rhythm within the flow of his daily work. Evening light, if he crosses bridges later in the day, casts elongated shadows and warm tones across water and stone. Reflections shift with the sun, revealing different perspectives on the same scene, emphasizing impermanence and the passage of time. The postman notices how patterns change, a ripple here, a shadow there, the gentle sway of a branch reflected in water. These observations, though subtle, reinforce the calm, attentive approach required in his work. Even in repetitive tasks, novelty is found in natural variation, highlighting the quiet beauty in ordinary daily life. Birds often accompany his bridge. Crossings, ducks, swans, or small songbirds add motion and gentle sounds to the landscape. Their flight, diving, or ripple-inducing landings offer brief moments of dynamism, reminders of life continuing alongside the routine of human work. The postman's pace adjusts naturally to avoid startling wildlife, his movements soft and deliberate. In these interactions, the harmony of coexistence emerges, demonstrating that work and observation can be integrated seamlessly with the natural environment. The bridges themselves vary subtly along his route. Some are wider, allowing two people to pass comfortably, others narrow, requiring careful navigation. Wooden surfaces creak more than stone, and iron railings differ in height and texture. The postman adjusts his footing and the position of his satchel accordingly, cultivating balance, rhythm, and an awareness of tactile feedback. Even minor adjustments reinforce mindfulness and presence, ensuring that each step, each placement of weight, aligns with both safety and comfort. These small attentions turn a mundane crossing into a deeply engaging sensory experience. Passing under arches or observing distant banks, he notices the subtle interplay of architecture and nature. Shadows fall in irregular patterns, leaves drift over water, and small boats, perhaps belonging to local fishermen, glide gently along the current. These observations inform both physical navigation and mental engagement. The postman's awareness extends beyond delivery. He becomes part of a living landscape, attuned to subtle changes, rhythms, and interactions that might otherwise go unnoticed. By the end of each crossing, the postman has accumulated a quiet sense of accomplishment. The weight of letters and parcels remains a steady companion, but it is tempered by awareness, mindfulness, and appreciation for the restorative influence of water and natural scenery. Movement, observation, and reflection integrate into a seamless whole, shaping not only the efficiency of his route, but the quality of his experience. Even as he steps onto firm ground beyond the bridge, the calm influence of rivers and waterways lingers, shaping the rhythm of the day. The final moments of a bridge crossing are marked by subtle transitions, stepping from planks to cobblestones, from reflective stillness to the soft hum of town life. Each transition is approached deliberately, with awareness of weight, footing, and the presence of letters carried. These gestures reinforce continuity, calm, and attentiveness. The postman's work continues, but the restorative effect of bridges and waterways remains, an undercurrent of serenity flowing through the rhythm of daily life. The morning continues its unhurried progress through the Victorian town, and the postman moves from quiet streets and garden courtyards toward the gentle bustle of small shops and market stalls. The sun now hangs a little higher in the sky, casting soft light across brick walls and painted shop fronts. Wooden signs sway slightly in a morning breeze, announcing the goods within: freshly baked bread, fragrant herbs, neatly stacked bolts of fabric, jars of honey, and the occasional handcrafted trinket. The postman's footsteps, steady and rhythmic on the cobblestones, announce his approach, yet are tempered by a practiced softness, ensuring that he enters these spaces with care and mindfulness. Each shop he visits is unique in character and atmosphere. The bakery, for instance, emits a comforting warmth and the gentle scent of rising dough, enriched by hints of butter and sugar. The postman pauses at the doorway, adjusting his satchel, feeling the familiar weight and balance of letters nestled inside. He notes the carefully arranged bread loaves, their golden crusts lined in neat rows, and the polished wooden counters that gleam faintly in the morning sun. Inside, the baker's hands move with quiet precision, kneading dough or dusting flour onto surfaces, and the postman watches without intrusion, appreciating the rhythm of their labor as it complements his own. Small nods and polite greetings are exchanged, simple acknowledgments that reinforce human connection while remaining unobtrusive and calm. The grocer's shop presents a different sensory palette. Glass jars contain dried fruits and herbs, each labeled carefully, and wicker baskets hold potatoes, carrots, and onions. The air carries the subtle aroma of vinegar and pickled vegetables, mingling faintly with the sweetness of sugar and the faint tang of citrus fruit. The postman approaches the counter slowly, lifting his satchel to deposit letters addressed to the shopkeeper. Hands meet, hands briefly in exchange. A small nod follows, and the postman steps back to observe the orderly arrangement of goods. Each object is a testament to routine, care, and the subtle artistry of presentation. The act of delivering a letter becomes intertwined with noticing texture, scent, and layout, an immersive moment of presence and attention. In market stalls, the experience is more ephemeral but no less calming. Early risers arrange flowers, vegetables, or artisanal products, creating a temporary tableau of color, shape, and scent. The postman moves among these arrangements, mindful of not disturbing displays. He steps lightly, glancing at freshly plucked blooms, the smooth surface of vegetables, or the woven patterns of baskets holding goods. Exchanges with are brief and courteous, a soft good morning, a nod, perhaps a gentle comment on the weather or the quality of produce. Even in these fleeting interactions, patterns of human rhythm and acknowledgement are preserved, fostering a subtle continuity between resident, vendor, and messenger. The postman's awareness extends to the sensory subtleties of each interaction. In one shop, the warm scent of coffee beans guides his attention to a small counter where beans are being ground by hand, the rhythmic grinding blending with the muted murmur of conversation. In another, a spice merchant arranges small piles of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves, the delicate fragrances mingling in the morning air. Each delivery requires awareness not only of letters and parcels, but also of the spatial and olfactory environment. The careful placement of correspondence, combined with polite acknowledgement of the shopkeepers, ensures that the postman's presence is harmonious rather than intrusive. Small gestures reinforce this sense of continuity and mindfulness. A parcel is set gently on a counter, ensuring it does not roll or tip. Letters are stacked neatly to be retrieved by the shopkeeper at their convenience. The postman pauses to allow the shopkeeper to adjust items, smiling slightly at a child, peering curiously at the satchel. These gestures, though seemingly minor, embody an underlying philosophy of attentiveness, patience, and calm observation. Each interaction becomes a microcosm of human connection, an unspoken acknowledgement of mutual respect and shared rhythm. The sequence of deliveries creates a subtle choreography. The postman moves from bakery to grocer, from spice merchant to flower seller, tracing a path that blends efficiency with mindfulness. At each step, he observes the patterns of daily preparation: the baker slicing bread, the grocer arranging vegetables, the florist trimming stems and discarding spent petals. The small movements, the lifting of a basket, the adjustment of a counter, the dusting of flour form an almost imperceptible cadence, harmonizing with the postman's own steps, creating a quiet symphony of ordinary life. Interactions with shopkeepers reveal the human need for acknowledgement and routine. A nod, a brief exchange of words, or the gentle placement of a letter affirms both the postman's role and the shopkeeper's daily rhythm. The continuity of these exchanges offers reassurance. The mail arrives on schedule, letters are received, and small communications maintain the fabric of community. The postman becomes a silent witness to this daily pattern, noting how the gentle predictability of work fosters stability. And connection in a world that might otherwise feel hasty or disconnected. Visual observation is integral to these interactions. The postman notices the way light falls across countertops, the subtle shimmer of polished wood, or the varying hues of fruits and vegetables displayed in baskets. Shadows stretch across shop floors, shifting as the morning progresses, creating subtle patterns that change with each passing moment. His eyes move slowly, absorbing detail without distraction, attuning to texture, color, and arrangement. These observations enhance his awareness and contribute to a heightened sense of mindfulness, deepening the restorative quality of each step along the route. Sound also shapes the experience. The faint clink of coins, the gentle scraping of baskets against counters, the soft murmur of conversation, and the occasional tapping of a broom or brush layer, together to create a nuanced auditory landscape. The postman steps in harmony with these sounds, integrating them into his awareness rather than being distracted. Footsteps are soft, movements deliberate, and pauses are timed to allow space for these subtle auditory cues. The rhythm of work and environment converge, reinforcing calm attention and presence. Even minor details in shop interiors capture attention. The gleam of polished brass scales, the careful folding of cloth, the neat rows of jars containing herbs, spices, or dried fruit salt convey deliberate care and human artistry. The postman notes these elements, appreciating the subtle craftsmanship embedded in everyday labor. Each observation enhances the sense of a slow, intentional world where beauty resides in order, precision, and attentive observation. These details, though fleeting, reinforce the quiet artistry present in routine life. In quieter shops, the postman might pause for slightly longer, arranging letters with care, straightening parcels, and aligning envelopes neatly. He notices small domestic touches: a potted plant on a windowsill, a cat sleeping near a counter, a handwritten sign with a friendly greeting. These elements, though small, contribute to a richer understanding of space and human presence. Each delivery becomes not only a practical act, but a contemplative one, integrating attention, care, and gentle awareness. The postman's route includes observing both the people and the objects around him. A stall may have a stack of freshly baked scones, arranged in a simple pyramid, or a row of pots containing fresh herbs. Each item is observed with subtle appreciation. Color, shape, texture, and aroma are noted without haste. Similarly, shopkeepers' gestures smoothing a tablecloth, adjusting a stack of goods, arranging flowers become part of the postman's sensory map. These combined observations turn an ordinary route into a rich, meditative experience, reinforcing calm attention and mindfulness. As morning progresses, the town begins to wake more fully. Passers-by move along streets, children wander between stalls, and the distant hum of carriage wheels blends with street sounds. Even amid this mild activity, the postman maintains a quiet, deliberate pace, delivering letters and parcels without haste. He navigates corners, doorways, and thresholds with awareness, ensuring that his presence is harmonious rather than disruptive. The continuity of these interactions reinforces the central rhythm of the day: small gestures, steady attention, and mindful engagement with both people and environment. By the time the final shop on his route receives its mail, the postman has completed a sequence of sensory, social, and practical engagements. Each delivery reinforced human connection, acknowledged effort, and preserved routine. He feels a subtle satisfaction, born not of speed or volume, but of careful, mindful participation in a living network of small, everyday interactions. The rhythm of walking, observing, and acknowledging has created a quiet, cumulative sense of calm, continuity, and understated accomplishment. Stepping away from the last shop, the postman moves toward the quieter streets that lead to his next. Stops. The aroma of baking, fresh produce, and herbs lingers faintly, blending with the soft morning light. Reflections of interactions, gestures, and observations settle gently in his mind. These small, deliberate human connections are woven into the larger tapestry of the town's life, reinforcing stability, empathy, and the quiet beauty of routine. The sun climbs slowly toward its zenith, casting a gentle warmth across the Victorian town. Shadows shift subtly along the cobblestone streets, softening the angles of brick walls and painting long, muted lines across doorways and windowsills. The postman, moving with the rhythm of a well-practiced routine, feels the familiar weight of his leather satchel against his shoulder and notes the gentle sway with each step. As the morning deliveries are completed, he begins to approach the town square, a modest but serene space centered around a small fountain, its waters glimmering in the midday sun. The sound of trickling water creates a quiet undercurrent to the muted bustle of activity. Around him, merchants arranging goods, the distant murmur of conversation, and the occasional squeak of wooden carts being maneuvered along narrow lanes. He pauses briefly before the fountain, placing his satchel carefully on a low stone bench. The leather surface is smooth and worn, bearing the marks of countless days spent in motion. Each letter and parcel inside has been delivered or awaits the final steps of a route, and the weight feels lighter now, reduced by the morning's labor. He adjusts straps and clasps with deliberate care, smoothing leather and ensuring the contents are secure. These small, mindful movements are restorative, offering a quiet moment of focus and connection with his tools before the afternoon's journey continues. In these pauses, the tactile sensation of leather, the faint scent of ink and paper, and the gentle warmth of sunlit stone create a layered sense of comfort and presence. Around the square, the world seems to slow. The fountain, though modest, provides an ongoing rhythm of soft splashes and gentle ripples, reflecting sunlight in shifting patterns. Water beads on moss-covered stone, and droplets fall into the basin. With a quiet, hypnotic cadence, the postman allows himself to observe these subtle movements, noticing how light dances across the ripples, how birds occasionally dip beaks into the shallow pool, and how the scent of fresh water mingles faintly with baked bread from a nearby bakery. These small details anchor his awareness, creating a meditative experience that nourishes attention and patience. He sits for a while, watching the movement of townspeople at a distance. Some walk with purposeful steps along narrow lanes. Others pause to examine wares displayed outside shops. Children run lightly across cobblestones, laughing softly and chasing the shadows of birds overhead. The postman observes without hurry, noting how patterns emerge and dissolve, how gestures and expressions repeat in familiar, comforting ways. Each observation reinforces the rhythm of daily life, reminding him that even amidst work, there are pauses, moments of beauty, observation, and quiet reflection that sustain the spirit as much as the body. Drinking from a small flask of water, he feels the cool liquid replenish him, marking a natural break in the day. Sips are taken slowly, with deliberate attention to taste and temperature. The action of pausing to drink is ritualized, connecting bodily need with mental calm. The postman often arranges parcels beside him during these rests, stacking them neatly according to size or weight, noting which deliveries will come next. Even such minor organizational tasks are approached with patience and mindfulness, each careful movement aligning letters, brushing dust from the satchel, smoothing a creased envelope offers a gentle meditation in itself. The square is quiet enough to notice subtler sounds, the distant toll of a bell, the soft rustle of leaves in a nearby elm, the occasional chirp of a bird settling into midday shade. These details weave a tapestry of ambient life, creating a soothing background for reflection. The postman listens, absorbing these elements into his awareness, letting the soundscape inform the pace of his breathing and movement. In doing so, he integrates environment with occupation, transforming a simple rest into a mindful experience, a period in which both work and observation blend seamlessly into calm attentiveness. Light and shadow play a subtle role in these pauses. The fountain's spray catches sunlight, forming delicate patterns that shift with the breeze. Shadows of railings, benches, and passers-by stretch and contract with time, adding gentle dynamism to an otherwise still scene. The postman notes these transitions, allowing the gradual changes to serve as a reminder of impermanence and flow. Even as he sits, seemingly motionless, the world is in continuous quiet motion, and awareness of this flow deepens his sense of presence and peace. In moments like these, the postman's reflections extend beyond immediate surroundings. He considers the letters he has delivered, imagining the quiet reactions of recipients, soft smiles, nods of acknowledgement, or the brief lifting of spirits brought by correspondence. This mental visualization is calming and restorative, a gentle exercise in empathy and connection. He appreciates the invisible network of communication he maintains, recognizing the subtle yet meaningful impact of his routine work. Each delivery is a link in a broader, ongoing human story. An awareness of this connection fosters a quiet pride and contentment. Small pauses like these also afford a chance to observe details in the town's architecture. Brickwork, iron railings, and shop signage reveal textures and colors that might otherwise go unnoticed. The postman notes weathering patterns, slight irregularities in stone, or the careful craftsmanship of wooden shutters. He notices how morning dew glistens on edges, or how sunlight catches on polished surfaces, offering subtle visual delight. Attention to these elements enhances appreciation for ordinary objects, cultivating mindfulness and a sense of calm that extends beyond the physical act of resting. Birds and small animals add another layer of quiet observation. Sparrows hop along the fountain's edge, dipping into water or fluttering to nearby ledges. Cats may slink along walls, moving silently and gracefully, while a dog lying near a doorway raises its head momentarily before returning to rest. The slow, deliberate movements ensure he does not startle these creatures. Observing their small, self-contained lives adds depth to the meditative quality of rest, highlighting the harmony of human presence and natural rhythms. During these pauses, the postman often allows himself brief moments of mental wandering. He reflects on the continuity of his daily journey, the repetition of streets, houses, and interactions. This repetition is not monotonous. Rather, it provides a scaffold for calm, allowing him to notice subtle variations. A new flower blooming on a windowsill, a change in morning light, or the distant sound of a child's laughter. These small variations, framed within a predictable routine, offer gentle delight and reinforce attentiveness to the present moment. Water in the fountain provides both visual and auditory focus for contemplation. The postman observes patterns in the surface, noting how currents shift subtly with the wind or with objects that fall in. He notices small reflections of clouds, branches, and moving figures, appreciating the temporary, ever-changing nature of what is captured on the surface. Each ripple becomes a metaphor for daily life, movement within continuity, change within routine, and calm amidst minor disturbances. This perception nurtures a mindful approach to both work and observation. As the minutes stretch into a longer pause, the postman allows himself small, restorative actions. He smooths the satchel strap, adjusts parcels, or folds letters carefully. He takes note of any minor maintenance needed on his tools, a clasp to be polished, a strap to be tightened on. Performs these tasks with patience. Each action, no matter how minor, reinforces the rhythm of care and attentiveness, aligning physical labor with mental calm. Through these micro-tasks, the postman cultivates a sense of order, presence, and satisfaction that extends throughout. The afternoon midday rest also offers opportunities to connect quietly with townspeople. A shopkeeper emerging from a doorway may nod or offer a brief greeting. A child on errands may pause to watch the fountain's gentle splash. Each interaction is brief and courteous, adding warmth to the quiet pause without urgency. These moments of social connection, framed within a broader practice of observation and reflection, strengthen the fabric of community while sustaining calm, steady engagement with daily life. Even as the postman rises from the bench and prepares to continue his route, the restorative influence of rest lingers. The weight of letters and parcels, now reorganized and settled, feels manageable and familiar. Attention to surroundings, tactile sensations, and small social interactions enriches the remaining work, allowing it to unfold at a deliberate, mindful pace. The fountain's gentle splashes, the warmth of sun on stone, the faint sounds of the town all remain present in consciousness, coloring the next phase of the day with tranquility and awareness. The practice of pausing, however brief, reveals a central principle of the postman's routine: the integration of movement, labor, observation, and rest. Each element supports the others, creating a seamless flow that sustains both work and spirit. This rhythm ensures that even repetitive, modest tasks maintain engagement, presence, and care. It transforms ordinary labor into a continuous, restorative experience, in which the postman moves through space while remaining deeply attuned to environment, objects, and human connection. Finally, the postman steps away from the fountain, satchel securely on shoulder, and begins the next phase of his route. Each step carries the lingering calm of reflection, a quiet readiness for the deliveries that await. The square, the fountain, and the subtle patterns of light and shadow remain in memory, shaping perception and infusing subsequent work with a sense of presence, patience, and gentle rhythm. In this way, midday rest is not merely a pause, it is a central, sustaining element of a life lived with awareness, attentiveness, and quiet care. The afternoon sun climbs steadily, casting gentle warmth over the town and bringing subtle changes to familiar streets. Light moves slowly across brick walls, window panes, and cobblestones, highlighting textures that seemed muted in the early morning. Shadows lengthen and shift with the sun's progress, forming a constantly changing mosaic on streets and doorways. The postman, carrying his leather satchel filled with letters and small parcels, walks deliberately, each step measured and calm. The weight of the satchel, though familiar, reminds him of his steady purpose, anchoring each movement in physical awareness. Even in these simple motions, he finds a rhythm that is meditative, a flow that connects body, mind, and environment with the ordinary act of moving through familiar space. He moves under archways that lead from one narrow street to another, noting the interplay of sun and shade. The archways create temporary pockets of coolness, where light and shadow contrast, offering a pause for reflection as much as transition. These areas are quiet refuges from the brighter streets, and the postman appreciates the slight change in atmosphere, the shift in temperature, the muffled sounds of distant activity, and the altered angles of shadows dancing across stone surfaces. In these brief intervals, he allows his attention to wander gently, observing minute details that might otherwise go unnoticed. Familiar facades pass by, shop fronts, modest homes, and brick walls that have weathered decades. The texture of aged brick, the occasional curling ivy, and the subtle chipping of paint each tell quiet stories of continuity, care, and human habitation. He notices birds perched on ledges or rooflines, pausing in the warm afternoon light. Some stretch their wings, others preen feathers, while a few chirp softly, creating a delicate background melody to accompany the rhythm of footsteps. The postman integrates these sounds and sights into his awareness, allowing the slow unfolding of the afternoon to deepen his sense of presence. Windows reveal glimpses of interior life. Curtains ripple with the occasional breeze, revealing a warm interior, lit by soft sunlight. Laundry sways gently on lines, the fabric folding and fluttering in slow motion. Children play in yards or along alleyways, their laughter distant yet soothing, punctuating the quiet ambience with fleeting joy. Each observation is taken in without hurry. The postman notices the color of garments, the patterns in fabric, and the gentle motion of air through cloth, appreciating how these mundane elements contribute to the texture of daily life. The sun's position also alters the town's scent. Afternoon heat warms cobblestones, releasing faint earthiness from mortar and brick. A bakery's windows catch the sun, enhancing the aroma of warm bread, while gardens nearby offer softened fragrances of herbs and flowers. The postman inhales these subtle scents, connecting his journey to sensory awareness and the gentle reminders of the town's rhythms. Each breath becomes an anchor, a moment to cultivate mindfulness within a routine task. Movement itself takes on new significance in the afternoon. Steps over uneven cobblestones, shifting weight from heel to toe, create subtle variations in rhythm The postman notices these patterns, allowing awareness of his body to merge with the external environment. Each step is deliberate, each pause an opportunity to observe a small shift in shadow, light, or movement of people and animals. Even the occasional sound of a carriage in the distance integrates into this rhythm, enhancing the meditative quality of the afternoon route. As he passes familiar doorways, the postman delivers letters and small parcels with quiet care. Hands meet hands briefly, a nod or soft greeting exchanged, reinforcing human connection and continuity. The recipients, engaged in domestic or professional activity, respond with the same gentle acknowledgement. These small gestures, repeated across the town, create a network of calm interaction, a subtle weaving of relationships that persists through everyday rhythm. Each delivery is a microcosm of attention, patience, and awareness, linking sender, receiver, and messenger through the shared flow of ordinary life. Shifting shadows offer a dynamic visual narrative as he walks. Trees lining streets extend their long forms across walls and windows, bending and stretching in response to sunlight. The postman observes the ephemeral patterns, noticing how each branch's shadow interacts with architectural lines, creating a delicate interplay of light and form. Patches of shade provide respite from warmth, while bright sun highlights textures on doors, steps, and fence posts. These continual changes are subtle but profound, offering visual stimuli that cultivate presence and reflection. In courtyards and small gardens adjacent to homes, the postman sees movement and stillness coexisting. Leaves flutter softly in the breeze, petals sway, and small garden tools rest quietly against walls. The careful placement of plants, stones, and benches demonstrates the town's aesthetic sensibility, a subtle attention to balance and harmony. Observing these details, he notices how human intention and natural elements coexist, guiding his attention toward the beauty in calm order and continuity. The town square, revisited in the afternoon, is quieter than in morning bustle. Shadows of lampposts and railings stretch across cobblestones, creating intersecting lines that shift with the sun. Pigeons hop along stone ledges, cooing softly, while the fountain ripples with gentle consistency. The postman allows himself a moment to stand, observing the movement of light, shadow, and water. Each element reflects impermanence, change, and rhythm, reinforcing his awareness of flow within structure, movement within routine, and quiet engagement with the world around him. Afternoon also offers encounters with merchants closing shops temporarily or arranging goods for the following day. The postman delivers correspondence with care, noticing how produce glows under sunlight or how jars and bottles catch reflections. Hands adjust letters gently, ensuring alignment and accessibility, demonstrating respect for both sender and recipient. Through these micro-actions, the postman cultivates a sense of order and mindfulness, finding quiet satisfaction in precise, deliberate engagement. Small sounds in the afternoon carry more prominence amid slower human movement. The tapping of shoes on stone, the soft murmur of conversation, a distant cartwheel all combine into a layered, ambient soundscape. The postman integrates these auditory cues into his awareness, letting each sound guide rhythm and attention. This quiet attention to environment reinforces the meditative nature of movement, transforming a practical route into a layered sensory experience. Along alleys and narrow lanes, shadows play across walls, creating dynamic compositions of geometry and texture. Light, filtered through leaves, forms patterns that shift with wind and sun, and the postman notices subtle contrasts in color and tone. These visual cues engage attention without urgency, offering visual meditation and a connection to passing time. Even as he focuses on letters and deliveries, awareness of these small shifting details nurtures calm, presence, and reflective engagement. The afternoon journey encourages reflection. The postman observes the continuity of work, the repetition of gestures, and the constancy of environment. In these repeated movements, he finds solace and predictability, yet each step also offers variation, a new shadow, a novel angle of sunlight, or a child's fleeting laughter. This balance of repetition and subtle change deepens mindfulness, offering insight into the nature of daily life and the beauty embedded in routine. Time is perceptible in light, shadow, and ambient cues. As the sun tilts westward, street patterns and reflections shift, creating a sense of temporal flow. The postman notes these changes with calm awareness, allowing light and shadow to mark progress as naturally as clocks or bells. Observing the passage of time in this quiet, visual manner connects him to broader rhythms of life, reinforcing patience, attentiveness, and the serene unfolding of ordinary tasks. Interactions with animals punctuate the afternoon. A cat slinks along a low wall, a dog yawns lazily at a doorway, and birds hop or flutter in small bursts. The postman steps carefully, mindful not to disturb them, integrating their presence into the sensory landscape. These minor encounters, subtle and gentle, contribute to a sense of continuity between human, animal, and environment, emphasizing interconnectedness and calm awareness. By the end of the afternoon route, the postman has experienced a tapestry of light, shadow, sound, and human interaction. Each delivery, observation, and micro-pausing moment adds layers to the experience of place, time, and rhythm. The interplay of movement, sensory awareness, and social acknowledgement fosters a deep sense of satisfaction and tranquility, demonstrating the understated elegance of a life conducted with attention, care, and presence. Finally, as he prepares to transition toward the last deliveries of the day, the postman notes the subtle transformation of streets and courtyards. Shadows lengthen further, colors deepen, and the town takes on a muted, gentle palette. The awareness of these shifts continues to inform his pace, posture, and attentiveness, ensuring that even routine labor remains enriched by observation, reflection, and calm engagement with the living environment. The afternoon light softens as the sun begins its descent, casting long, gentle shadows across the cobblestone streets of the Victorian town. The postman walks steadily, carrying what remains of the day's correspondence and parcels, each one a small thread in the invisible web connecting families, friends, and businesses. The weight of his satchel has shifted slightly with the course of the day, now lighter as most deliveries have been completed, yet still familiar, comforting in its routine. He moves deliberately, noticing the play of fading light across brick, walls, window panes, and shop fronts. The streets are quieter than earlier, and the occasional passerby moves with a slower, more reflective pace. Children return from play, carrying the gentle echoes of laughter, while adults finish errands and begin to settle at home. The town itself seems to exhale, and the postman is a part of this subtle rhythm, moving with care and attention as shadows stretch and merge with the soft evening glow. Returning to the post office, he pauses at the doorway, inhaling the familiar scent of ink, paper, and polished wood. The office itself is calm now, filled with the soft ambient noises of the closing day, a door creaking, a faint breeze rattling a window pane, the muffled footsteps of a colleague moving slowly to finalize a task. He places the satchel on a sturdy wooden table, feeling the familiar resistance of leather against the surface, and noting the slight indentation left by its daily journey. He opens it carefully, arranging undelivered letters and parcels by type and priority. Each envelope is handled with gentle attention, sliding smoothly across the table, some bearing neat wax seals, others faint pencil marks from hurried scribes. The act of organizing these items is deliberate, almost ceremonial, transforming a practical task into a form of meditation. Sorting through the remaining correspondence, the postman notes small details in the handwriting, the texture of paper, and the occasional scent of ink or pressed flowers tucked inside. Some letters are brief, everyday messages from neighbors. Others carry news from distant relatives or business matters requiring thoughtfulness. Each piece is considered in turn, gently folded, stacked, or placed in pigeonholes, preserving order and ensuring that the next day's deliveries will proceed smoothly. The repetitive rhythm of this work, the tactile engagement with materials, and the subtle care it demands cultivate calm and satisfaction. Each motion, from sliding a letter into a slot to straightening the stack of envelopes, becomes a mindful gesture, offering reflection and gentle engagement with the ordinary beauty of labor. In the office, light from gas lamps flickers softly, casting warm, amber hues across walls, tables, and the polished surface of the sorting desk. Shadows dance across the room, elongating with the movement of the lamp's glow, and the postman observes these subtle shifts as he works. The interplay of light and shadow mirrors the day's transition, marking the end of active delivery and the beginning of careful preparation for tomorrow. He pauses occasionally to notice the texture of the wood beneath his fingers, the faint scent of wax, or the quiet rustle of paper, integrating sensory awareness into his methodical routine. Even in repetition, each moment offers novelty, a reminder of the continuous flow of life and labor. Throughout the office, small sounds punctuate the evening. A distant carriage wheels along a street outside, its soft rumble muted by brick walls. The occasional creak of a floorboard or the quiet shuffle of papers contributes to a layered, calm soundscape. The postman listens, allowing these minor auditory details to guide his pace and attention. There is no urgency. The evening unfolds naturally, with each task completed as part of a broader pattern of order, rhythm, and presence. The act of returning letters is not merely functionally, is imbued with meaning, a testament to care, consistency, and human connection. He examines each undelivered letter carefully, noting which addresses require attention the following morning. Some envelopes are marked with reminders, subtle pencil notations indicating priority or special instructions. Others are set aside for standard delivery routes. The postman handles each piece slowly, allowing the tactile experience, the smoothness of paper, the slight rigidity of envelopes, the faint impressions of handwriting, to anchor his attention. He arranges them into neat stacks, aligning edges meticulously, each bundle a small triumph of order in a world that has moved at a steady, patient pace. During these final tasks, the postman reflects on the day's journeys. He recalls the quiet moments along morning streets, the midday pauses by fountains, and the afternoon's shifting shadows. Each experience is woven into memory with care, reinforcing the continuity of his daily practice. The knowledge that every letter will reach its recipient, that connections between people have been maintained, provides a subtle sense of fulfillment. This reflection, framed by the tactile and methodical act of organizing letters, nurtures a calm, contemplative mood that prepares him for the day's close. Attention to detail continues as he inspects the tools of his trade. The satchel is checked for wear, straps adjusted, and leather polished with gentle strokes. Ink bottles, sealing wax, and stamps are placed neatly on the shelves, organized for the next morning's work. Even minor imperfections are addressed with patience. A small tear in an envelope is smoothed. A letter slightly bent is straightened. Each action reinforces the postman's connection to his tools, highlighting how deliberate care transforms ordinary objects into reliable companions and ensures smooth continuity of routine. Outside, the town transitions further into evening. Gas lamps flicker, illuminating streets with soft, golden light. Shadows lengthen across doorsteps and alleyways, and the distant sound of water from a fountain provides a soothing undercurrent. Windows glow with the warm presence of family life, and the aroma of evening meals drifts from kitchens. The postman observes these changes from the office doorway, appreciating the gentle balance of activity and stillness that marks the town's rhythm. These observations are not hurried. Rather, they become part of a slow, reflective meditation on human life, environment, and the passage of time. Returning letters to their proper pigeonholes, the postman notes which deliveries might require additional attention. Some parcels are set aside for early morning routes, ensuring that the first footsteps of the following day begin with clarity and preparedness. He smooths stacks, folds envelopes gently, and takes care to align bundles with precision. Each movement reinforces mindfulness, allowing the repetitive, orderly nature of the task to cultivate calm, presence, and subtle satisfaction. These careful actions highlight the quiet dignity of routine work, revealing how structure, observation, and consistency can transform labor into a meditative practice. As the evening deepens, the postman's pace slows naturally. He moves from desk to shelves, adjusting letters and parcels with soft, deliberate gestures. He listens to the soft ambient noises of the office, the rustle of paper, the faint creak of the floor, and the gentle hum of activity beyond windows. Awareness of these minor sensory elements heightens attention without strain, creating an immersive environment in which labor and reflection coexist. Even the simplest tasks, folding a letter, arranging a bundle, securing a parcel, become a conduit for calm and thoughtful engagement with the day's work. Before departing, he pauses to reflect on the day's accomplishments. The letters delivered, the parcels organized, the small gestures of care extended to recipients all form a tapestry of contribution, connection, and mindful practice. Satisfaction arises not from dramatic achievement, but from steady, attentive work completed with patience and presence. This evening reflection is a quiet affirmation of continuity, reliability, and the understated beauty of ordinary routines. Finally, the postman gathers his belongings, ensuring the office is tidy and all materials are secured. He steps outside, into the twilight, feeling the cool air against his face and the soft light fading over streets and rooftops. The rhythm of the town has shifted toward rest. Shadows deepen, lamps flicker, and a gentle calm settles over the cobblestones. He walks slowly toward home, carrying with him the quiet satisfaction of completion, the comfort of order, and the reflective awareness of a day lived with care, patience, and mindful attention to the small yet meaningful details of ordinary life. Evening has settled over the town, and the post office, now quiet, offers a space of calm reflection and gentle work. The postman, having returned from his day's deliveries, turns his attention to the tools that accompany him in his daily labor. These items, leather satchels, sturdy boots, ink pads, sealing wax, stamps, and parchment, are not merely instruments for work, but companions that bear the subtle marks of routine, history, and care. Handling them demands attention, patience, and a gentle touch. And in this evening ritual, the postman finds a quiet, meditative rhythm. Each item carries stories of past journeys, letters delivered, parcels entrusted, the gentle contact between sender, messenger, and recipient. The act of tending these tools becomes a form of mindfulness, linking body, mind, and environment through tactile engagement and deliberate focus. He begins with the leather satchel, the faithful companion that has accompanied countless morning and evening journeys. The surface, softened by wear, carries impressions from straps and clasps, creases from repeated loading and unloading, and the faint aroma of paper, ink, and leather mingled over months of use. The postman runs his hands across its exterior, noting the subtle roughness of worn edges, the smooth polish of well-tended seams, and the small scratches that tell stories of bustling streets, narrow alleyways, and careful handling. He applies gentle, circular motions with a soft cloth, distributing polish evenly across its surface. Each stroke is slow, measured, deliberate, and exercise in patience and tactile awareness. The scent of leather mixed with polish fills the room, anchoring attention and cultivating a quiet sense of satisfaction. Boots, too, receive careful attention. He places them on a low stool and examines the leather, the stitching, and the worn soles. Dried dust and mud from streets are brushed away methodically, each stroke producing a satisfying swish against the bristles of a stiff brush. The postman applies polish in small amounts, rubbing in circular motions, ensuring even coverage across creases and folds. He notices the subtle differences between the left and right boot, the faint indentation formed by hours of walking, and the small scuffs that have accumulated over the weeks. Polishing is more than cleaning. It is a ritualized acknowledgement of the day's labor, a gentle meditation that rewards attention, patience, and care. The postman's movements are unhurried, each action fostering mindfulness and a quiet connection to both tools and the environment they have traversed together. Ink pads, essential for stamping letters, are checked and replenished with similar attentiveness. He opens each pad, examining the saturated surface for dryness, uneven distribution, or minor stains. With a soft cloth and careful attention, he evens the surface, adding drops of ink to maintain consistent coverage. The postman notes the faint scent of the inker mixture of subtle chemicals and paper that permeates the workspace. Handling these small objects, applying careful, precise motions, reinforces a sense of rhythm and continuity, grounding him in the tactile, the ordinary, and the slowly unfolding passage of evening. Sealing wax and stamps are arranged on the wooden shelves that line the post office walls. He sorts each color and shape, noting which have been used most recently, which require replenishment, and which carry special significance for particular correspondences. The wax is soft and pliable from gentle warming, ready to create impressions of care and formality on the next day's letters. Stamps are examined for clarity, edges aligned, handles polished, ensuring a precise impression on paper. These small acts, repeated nightly, transform practical objects into meaningful companions, and the postman approaches them with reverence, acknowledging their role in connecting people and sustaining continuity across the town. Even envelopes and bundles receive deliberate attention. He aligns edges, folds corners neatly, and stacks letters by route or recipient. The smooth texture of paper under his fingers, the faint imprint of handwriting, and the occasional folded note tucked within a letter provide subtle stimuli that enhance mindfulness. Each envelope is considered in turn, each bundle arranged with order and care. This process is meditative, a quiet reflection on the day's work, the act of maintaining connections, and the rhythm that underlies routine tasks. In repetition, there is serenity. In careful handling, there is satisfaction. As the evening deepens, he moves through the office with deliberate observation. The gas lamps flicker softly, casting warm amber light on polished surfaces, casting shadows that dance across shelves and walls. The room itself becomes a space for reflection, the ambient hum of silence punctuated by the soft sounds of brushing, polishing, and stacking. The postman notices these minor auditory cues, the subtle scrape of a brush across leather, the faint rustle of paper as envelopes are shifted, the gentle click of a clasp being secured and allows them to guide his pace and focus. These small sounds, so easily overlooked during the day, now form a rhythm of calm, reinforcing the meditative quality of ritualized maintenance. Throughout this process, the postman reflects on the interconnectedness of his tools, environment, and labor. Each object holds a story. The satchel carrying letters to distant relatives, the boots that have trodden through rain and sunshine, the ink pads that mark messages with consistency and clarity. These items are extensions of his daily life, and tending to them fosters a sense of respect, continuity, and care. Every careful motion, every deliberate alignment, reinforces mindfulness and deepens the appreciation of simple, repeated actions. Small, overlooked details occupy his attention. The gentle curl of a leather strap, the slight indentation of a stamp handle, the alignment of envelopes within a bundle. Each observation, integrated into movement, enhances awareness of physical space, tactile sensation, and sensory engagement. Polishing leather, replenishing ink, and arranging stamps are no longer mere chores. They become conduits for reflection, attention, and quiet satisfaction. The postman moves slowly and deliberately, savoring each gesture, noting subtle improvements in technique, and allowing the process itself to cultivate calm and presence. Outside the office, the town settles into twilight. Shadows deepen across streets, rooftops, and alleyways. The faint sound of a distant carriage or the murmur of water from a nearby fountain creates a subdued, comforting backdrop. The postman occasionally pauses by the window, observing the interplay of fading light and lengthening shadow, noting how the environment interacts with his internal rhythm of work. These moments reinforce continuity, linking the maintenance of tools to the broader flow of time, space, and human activity within the town. As he moves from one task to another, attention remains deliberate and gentle. He notices minor imperfections, a small scratch in leather, uneven ink coverage, or a slightly bent envelope. Each is corrected with care and patience, emphasizing mindfulness and the value of intentional action. In this manner, maintenance is not solely functional. It becomes an immersive, reflective practice that integrates perception, movement, and intention into a unified, calm, and deliberate experience. The postman pauses to reflect upon the day and the role his tools have played in sustaining human connection. Each letter carried, each parcel delivered, each stamp applied, represents small acts of care, consistency, and attentiveness. Maintaining these tools is an extension of these principles. Tending to them ensures continuity, reliability, and readiness for future labor. The quiet satisfaction derived from polishing leather, arranging letters, and replenishing ink is a testament to the meditative power of routine, attentiveness, and skillful handling of ordinary objects. By the end of the evening, each tool has been cared for meticulously. The satchel gleams under the soft lamplight. Boots are polished to a warm, rich tone. Ink pads are fully replenished. Stamps are aligned and ready. Letters are sorted and organized. The workspace itself reflects the postman's care, orderly and inviting, a space that mirrors the calm, methodical, and thoughtful approach of its occupant. This transformed environment reinforces the continuity of work, the meditative potential of routine, and the inherent beauty in attentive, deliberate care. As night settles fully over the town, the postman takes a final look around the office. He breathes deeply, feeling satisfaction, calm, and a sense of completion. Each item, now maintained and prepared, will support him in continuing his gentle work tomorrow. The rhythmic, meditative cycle of care ensures that both man and tools remain connected, aligned, and ready to sustain the flow of daily life. In this quiet, unhurried way, ordinary objects are honored, labor is transformed into meditation, and the subtle beauty of attentive, mindful maintenance is revealed in every gesture, breath, and careful motion. The rhythm of the postman's daily work is subtly shaped by the shifting seasons, each bringing its own textures, scents, and hues to the quiet streets of the Victorian town. As he steps outside in the early morning, he notices how frost has lightly dusted the cobblestones, giving them a delicate sparkle that catches the first pale rays of dawn. The chill in the air brushes against his cheeks and fingers, prompting him to adjust his coat or tighten his scarf before continuing along familiar lanes. Even in the quiet repetition of his rounds, these small seasonal changes are moments of gentle observation and awareness. He moves more carefully on icy patches, shifting weight deliberately with each step, and allowing the crisp morning air to fill his lungs, bringing alertness and a subtle sense of refreshment. The frost softens the usual sounds of the town, muffling distant footsteps and carriage wheels, creating a calm, hushed ambience that makes the act of delivery feel more introspective and contemplative. In spring, the streets are transformed. Buds appear along hedges, blossoms spill across window boxes, and the faint scent of flowers drifts through the air. The postman adjusts his pace slightly, noticing the vibrancy around him. Each door he passes might be framed with fresh blooms or climbing vines, and the gentle warmth of the morning sun encourages him to pause for a moment, observing how nature gradually awakens after winter. The rhythm of his work adapts to these changes. Roots that were shadowed and icy in winter are now lighter, easier, and imbued with the cheerful presence of new life. He moves with the awareness that each season alters not only the appearance of the town but also the experience of the same streets he walks daily. Summer brings longer days and the soft, golden glow of late afternoon. The postman feels the warmth on his back as he walks, hears the distant chatter of children playing in courtyards, and notices the waft of fresh bread from bakeries mingling with the scent of sun-warmed cobblestones. Deliveries continue with a measured ease. The sun casts long shadows that shift gently across walls and archways, and he adjusts his rhythm accordingly. He drinks from fountains or refills his water flask at shaded nooks, taking care to pace himself, mindful of heat and energy. The longer daylight extends his rounds, and he becomes more attentive to the subtle changes in light, recognizing the beauty in the patterns of shadow, reflection, and color. Autumn introduces a quieter, more reflective mood. Leaves drift from trees, carpeting streets with muted tones of gold, red, and brown. Crisp breezes rustle through chimneys and alleyways, carrying the smell of fallen leaves and distant wood fires. The postman treads gently over the dry foliage, appreciating the softness underfoot and the delicate sound each step produces. Parcels may feel slightly heavier as layers of wrapping respond to humidity and cooler air, and he observes the changing habits of townspeople, who gather indoors sooner, leave windows closed, and pause less in street courtyards. This seasonal shift fosters a deeper attentiveness to the small movements of daily life: a neighbor sweeping leaves, a shopkeeper stacking produce in the dim light, a child watching a leaf flutter to the ground. Every action and observation is absorbed slowly, with care, reinforcing a sense of harmony with the cyclical nature of the year. Winter arrives with longer shadows and subtle quietness. Frost forms intricate patterns along windows and handrails, and snow, when it falls, muffles sounds and softens the contours of familiar streets. The postman adjusts his route for safety and warmth, walking slowly over slick surfaces, mindful of hidden ice. Mailbags feel colder and stiffer, the scent of ink and paper sharp against the chilly air. Even the tools of his trade leather satchels, boots, and gloves are treated with greater attentiveness, ensuring durability and comfort in harsher conditions. He notices subtle signals of human adaptation to cold: curtains drawn against drafts, smoke curling steadily from chimneys, and the hasty movement of townspeople rushing along well-trodden paths. Winter invites quiet reflection, a contemplative mood that encourages deeper connection with the environment and the rhythm of routine. Through these seasonal changes, the postman develops an intuitive sense of environmental rhythm. He learns which streets are brighter at certain times of year, which courtyards offer warmth in winter or shade in summer, and how the soundscape of the town evolves with changing weather. Frosted cobblestones echo less with boots, leaves rustle gently underfoot, and water from fountains freezes or drips more softly, depending on temperature. These subtle variations, once noticed, become part of the postman's mindfulness practice, each season offering lessons in attentiveness, adaptability, and calm observation. Spring mornings often begin with dew clinging to windowsills, glistening in the first sunlight. The postman appreciates how moisture affects the texture of letters and parcels, taking care to avoid damp or curling edges. He observes flower boxes and shrubs along streets, noting growth and the emergence of color. The act of adjusting his pace, selecting sheltered paths, or pausing to admire a budding rose is imbued with gentle awareness, transforming routine delivery into a quiet meditation on life's cycles. Every season informs not only the physical experience of work, but also emotional attunement, creating a rhythm that mirrors nature's gradual changes. During summer, the postman notices the interplay of light and heat. The long shadows of lampposts and buildings shift subtly with the sun's path, creating patterns on cobblestones that can guide his pacing. Courtyards glow with afternoon warmth, and he appreciates the slight breeze that cools his face after extended walking. Delivering letters to gardens or doorways, he takes in the vibrant scents of sun-warmed flowers and herbs. Observing these sensory details fosters awareness and deepens the appreciation for the ordinary beauty of everyday surroundings. Summer's intensity encourages conscious pacing and deliberate breathing, turning ordinary delivery into a calming, attentive practice. Autumn, in contrast, brings a reflective melancholy. The postman listens to the soft crackle of leaves beneath boots, watches the low slanting sun cast elongated shadows, and smells the subtle tank of damp earth. Parcels and letters feel heavier or more fragile as humidity shifts, and he handles them with extra care. Courtyards empty sooner, doors close earlier, and he observes the human adjustments to the shortening day. The interplay between natural change and human response deepens his mindfulness, allowing him to perceive the subtle rhythm of life and the continuity of care that his role sustains. Winter reinforces patience and awareness. Frosted edges on letters or parcels require careful handling. Footsteps must be slow and deliberate over ice-slick stones, and routes are chosen to balance safety, comfort, and efficiency. The postman notices the heightened contrast between dark streets and glowing interiors, between frozen fountains and warm chimneys. Every sensory input, the crisp bite of air, the sound of distant bells, the sight of lamplight reflected on frost, become a moment to absorb, internalize, and respond to with calm attention. Seasonal awareness turns ordinary delivery into a practice of slow, attentive presence. The passage of seasons also highlights continuity. Though streets, light, and weather change, the postman's commitment, roots, and rhythms remain constant. He observes how letters, parcels, and interactions with townspeople persist in an unbroken flow. This constancy, observed against the backdrop of seasonal transformation, offers quiet reassurance. Life carries on, routine endures, and each day provides opportunities for attentive, gentle engagement. The postman's work is a bridge between human constancy and nature's cyclic rhythm, reinforcing mindfulness and calm reflection. In every season, the postman notices small, often overlooked details: frost tracing patterns on a windowsill, raindrops gathering on a mailbox, sun glinting off brass handles, or leaves drifting across doorsteps. These moments become opportunities to slow down, align attention, and cultivate awareness. His careful handling of letters and parcels, in harmony with environmental cues, transforms routine delivery into a meditation on time, seasonality, and the interconnection of life, work, and nature. The cumulative awareness of seasonal change deepens the postman's understanding of his environment. Each shift in light, scent, sound, or texture reinforces a sense of presence, patience, and harmony. Frost, sunlight, blooming flowers, or falling leaves become companions in daily labor, guiding movement, pacing, and mindfulness. The postman's route, once taken for granted, now reveals subtle variations in rhythm, mood, and sensory experience. Observing these changes allows him to cultivate a quiet attentiveness that enriches both work and perception, highlighting the understated beauty of ordinary life across the year. By the end of the day, the postman reflects on how seasonal awareness has shaped his approach to work, adjusting pace, choosing paths for comfort, and observing environmental cues reinforce patience, mindfulness, and continuity. Each season brings subtle challenges and gentle lessons, reminding him of the delicate balance between human routine and natural cycles. This awareness transforms simple deliveries into contemplative practice, cultivating calm, presence, and appreciation for the changing world. Even as darkness falls, traces of seasonal change linger: frost on a gate latch, lingering flower petals, or the soft murmur of a winter stream. These details serve as a gentle reminder of the ongoing flow of time, the cycle of growth and rest, and the postman's quiet participation in this rhythm. Every step along familiar streets is infused with seasonal awareness, providing a meditative, reflective, and deeply calming experience. In this way, the postman's work harmonizes with nature's subtle shifts. Attention to seasonal change enriches daily labor, cultivating patience, focus, and mindfulness. Observing frost, blossoms, sun, or falling leaves transforms ordinary tasks into moments of serene awareness, connecting man, work, and environment in a slow, gentle rhythm. Each day, season, and route becomes a reflection of the delicate interplay between routine and change, ordinariness and attention, motion and stillness, culminating in the quiet satisfaction of harmonious, mindful practice. Dusk settles gently over the town, casting a soft amber glow across the familiar streets. The sun, dipping behind rooftops and chimneys, paints long, slender shadows across cobblestones, highlighting the uneven textures of the stones worn smooth by countless footsteps over the years. Gas lamps begin to flicker to life, their gentle flames diffusing a warm golden light that pools along sidewalks, illuminating doorways, shop windows, and the delicate patterns of iron railings. The postman steps carefully along these quiet lanes, the rhythmic sound of his boots on stone creating a subtle cadence that resonates with the calm of the evening. The air carries the coolness of approaching night, tempered by the lingering warmth of the late afternoon sun. It is a time of gentle reflection, a moment when the town exhales, and the ordinary textures of daily life are softened, muted, and made contemplative. Walking through these streets, the postman notices small details that might have gone unnoticed in the brighter hours of the day. A window curtain flutters faintly in a lazy breeze, casting moving shadows across a doorway. The scent of fresh bread, baked earlier in the day, drifts out from the baker's shop, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp cobblestones and the faint smoke of distant chimneys. The interplay of scents is subtle and comforting, a reminder of human life continuing quietly within the structures of the town. Each step is deliberate, measured, and mindful. As the postman moves along familiar routes, delivering the final letters of the day and observing how the light, shadows, and ambient sounds transform the streets into spaces of reflection and calm. The evening air carries the soft murmurs of the town, a dog's gentle bark in the distance, the faint clink of dishes within homes, and the whisper of wind through narrow alleyways. The postman pauses occasionally, adjusting the strap of his satchel or lifting a letter to inspect it, feeling the weight of the parcel and noting its destination. Each action is performed with care, reflecting the rhythm of his work and the attentiveness required to navigate the town safely and efficiently at this transitional hour. The tactile sensation of leather, paper, and worn cobblestone underfoot reinforces the quiet continuity of his movements, grounding him in the immediate present while allowing his mind to drift gently with observation and awareness. As he approaches residential areas, the postman notices how gaslight illuminates garden fences, casting patterns of lace-like shadows across walls. Flowers in window boxes, now slightly wilted from the day's sun, reflect the soft light, their petals muted yet delicate. These small visual textures, curved ironwork, textured bricks, the gentle sway of leaves in evening air capture attention in subtle ways. Each street has its own personality. At dusk, some quiet, some whispering faintly with movement of animals or evening chores, some empty and contemplative, waiting for night to fully settle. The postman moves through these variations with an awareness of rhythm, texture, and visual contrast, noticing the interplay of shadow and light as he continues along his final rounds. In market districts, shutters are drawn and signs are dimmed, The faint scent of spices, fruits, and dried herbs lingers in the alleyways, softened by the cooling air. The postman observes the careful order of crates and baskets, noting that everything has returned to its place for the night. He passes the empty benches and quiet fountains, aware of how their reflective surfaces catch the remaining light and mirror the fading sky above. Even the movement of water, slow and subtle, offers a comforting auditory rhythm, blending seamlessly with the occasional creak of a gate or the whisper of a curtain. These small observations, woven into the rhythm of walking and delivering, create a gentle, meditative experience where even routine tasks are filled with attentive reflection. Street corners take on a gentle, almost sacred quiet at this hour. Shadows deepen beneath archways, and the warm glow from lamps contrasts with the cool blue of approaching night. The postman notes these contrasts, letting his gaze linger on the textures of masonry, the weathered patterns on doorframes, and the subtle imperfections in the stonework that have been shaped over decades. Each building has a history etched into its surface, a story whispered through color, crack, and texture. The act of moving past them, delivering letters, and observing these subtle signs fosters a sense of temporal continuity, quiet awareness of time passing and human presence within the built environment. Along residential streets, the postman notices families winding down, the quiet laughter of children washing before dinner, the flicker of candlelight through lace curtains, or the faint smell of supper drifting from kitchen windows. Doors are locked, shutters drawn, and pets settle into corners for the night. Even the placement of objects, a broom resting against a wall, a watering can tipped on its side, suggests the rhythm of daily routines and the slow winding down of human activity. The postman's presence is unobtrusive, a silent participant in this routine, delivering letters and parcels with quiet efficiency while allowing the calm of evening to shape the pace and perception of his movements. The interplay between light and shadow is especially prominent near town squares. The postman observes how the fading sun casts elongated shadows of statues, benches, and lampposts, creating a dynamic yet gentle visual rhythm. Cobblestones appear to ripple under the changing angles of light, and he notices the subtle reflections in puddles from an earlier rain. These visual moments capture attention without urgency, encouraging reflection and a gentle awareness of space. Every step taken, every parcel delivered, is a quiet negotiation with light, texture, and environment, fostering calm observation and mindful movement. Bridges over the town's small river offer another opportunity for reflection. The water moves slowly, reflecting lantern light and the changing colors of sky. Ripples catch the golden hue of gas lamps and the cool blues of approaching twilight. Ducks or swans glide across the surface, their soft movements contributing to the meditative quality of the scene. The postman pauses for a brief moment, enjoying the gentle sway of water, the shifting reflections, and the subtle symphony of sounds that accompany dusk. His satchel rests comfortably against his shoulder, a familiar weight that grounds him. As he observes these quiet natural rhythms interwoven with the town's built environment, along quieter lanes, he notices the interactions between human activity and evening light. Laundry sways gently on lines above narrow alleyways. Doorsteps glow faintly under lantern light, and shutters reflect subtle patterns of color and shadow. The scent of evening damp earth, lingering smoke, and fading blooms permeates the air. The postman walks slowly, absorbing these small sensory cues, letting the environment dictate the pace of his movement. Awareness of these subtle cues transforms the ordinary act of walking and delivering into a practice of attentive observation, rhythm, and calm reflection. In courtyards, fountains drip softly, echoing faintly in the surrounding stonework. Children's toys or small household objects rest undisturbed, creating a sense of stillness. The postman notices the soft textures of these spaces, the cool stone underfoot, the smoothness of iron railings, and the gentle sway of foliage. His careful attention to these subtle cues allows him to navigate efficiently while also participating in the quiet poetry of the evening environment. Each street, archway, and doorstep becomes a site of calm observation and reflection. The last deliveries often involve residences at the edges of town. Lantern light flickers over wooden gates, brick walls, and simple garden fences. The postman moves slowly, allowing his attention to linger on the interplay of shadows, light, and textures that define each home. He notes subtle seasonal changes visible even in the fading light, early frost, lingering blooms, or the crisp outline of autumn leaves. These final rounds are performed with deliberate care, allowing both the postman and the streets to settle into the calm rhythm of approaching night. Returning to the post office, the postman reflects on the beauty and serenity of streets at dusk. The gentle weight of parcels and letters, the familiar texture of the satchel, and the rhythmic movement of walking through softly illuminated lanes all contribute to a meditative awareness. The quiet streets, softened by shadow and warm lamplight, provide a stage for observation, reflection, and mindfulness, transforming routine delivery into a practice of attentive engagement and calm. By the time he steps inside, the streets are hushed, homes are quiet, and the last traces of evening light fade into deepening night. His work, though ordinary in nature, has been performed with mindfulness, patience, and subtle appreciation of beauty in everyday surroundings. The tactile, visual, and olfactory textures encountered along the way enrich the mind, fostering reflection and gentle satisfaction. The postman's final rounds are a meditation on time, rhythm, and the quiet poetry of life in motion, revealing the extraordinary in ordinary routines and the calm found in attentive presence. Read more than ink on paper. It carried intention, connection, and the quiet pulse of human life across the town. In the postman's hands, letters were small vessels of experience, holding greetings, thanks, updates, and simple words of care. As he lifted each envelope from the satchel, he felt the subtle textures of folded paper, the faint impressions of handwriting, and the delicate weight of communication that had traveled distances, both physical and emotional. Each one bore traces of its sender, the pressure of the pen, the careful alignment of words, even the choice of stationery. This chapter invites a slow journey into the ordinary yet extraordinary world of correspondence, where each letter tells a story, however small, of human connection, thoughtfulness, and quiet empathy. The morning begins gently in the local post office. Light seeps through frosted windows, casting muted, golden rays across wooden counters, pigeonholes, and bundles of letters stacked neatly in the corner. The postman moves deliberately, lifting letters one by one, noting addresses and destinations with calm attentiveness. Some envelopes are adorned with wax seals, pressed carefully by hands from the other side of town. Others bear smudges of ink, evidence of hurried writing or trembling hands. Every mark, every crease, tells something about the sender and the life they inhabit. Observing these subtleties encourages empathy, allowing the postman, even without conversation, to imagine the world of the person who penned the note. Among the letters, there are small greetings to distant relatives. A folded note from a daughter to her parents might express thanks for a gift or share news of her daily routines. The careful curves of her handwriting, the choice of words, the rhythm of sentences all offer a window into a private life, lived gently yet intentionally. The postman, aware of the importance of each delivery, handles these with extra care, ensuring that the connection intended by the sender reaches its recipient without disruption. In doing so, he participates in an invisible network of human warmth, linking households and hearts through the unhurried movement of letters along cobblestone streets. Beyond family notes, some letters carry small practical messages for goods, announcements of visits, or confirmations of trades. Even these utilitarian communications are infused with the rhythm of ordinary life, reflecting habits, timing, and the attention to detail that sustains the town. The postman, as he sorts and organizes, notices the small flourishes, dots on the i's, careful underlining, or faint sketches in the margins. These marks are reminders that communication is more than words. It is a reflection of care, effort, and human presence. Each envelope, though ordinary in appearance, becomes a repository of stories waiting to unfold upon delivery. Walking along quiet streets, the postman pauses to place letters carefully in letterboxes or hand them to occupants. In each small interaction, there is rhythm and intention. When a letter is handed over, the postman observes the recipient's reaction, the gentle smile at a familiar name, the quiet curiosity at an unexpected note, or the momentary pause as someone reads the inked words with attention. These reactions are subtle yet profound, a silent acknowledgement of connection. The streets themselves, illuminated softly by gas lamps, provide a stage for this gentle exchange, reinforcing the sense that ordinary routines carry extraordinary meaning. Some letters are brief, almost perfunctory, yet even these have their own charm, a quick note from a merchant confirming an order, a single line thanking a neighbor, or a folded slip announcing a visitor, all demonstrate how communication sustains human interaction with minimal disturbance. The postman, moving slowly and attentively, treats each one with respect, understanding that even small gestures contribute to the tapestry of daily life. Observing these notes encourages mindfulness, patience, and an appreciation for the quiet, understated ways humans connect. The tactile quality of letters is an essential part of their story. As he slides an envelope into a pigeonhole or lifts it from a satchel, the postman feels the weight, texture, and temperature of each piece. Some are smooth and crisp, freshly cut and neatly folded. Others are soft and worn, edges slightly frayed from repeated handling. The sensation of touch adds another dimension to his work, connecting him with both the sender and the recipient. Each letter becomes a bridge across time and space, carrying a small human story from one hand to another, inviting reflection on the simplicity and intimacy of written communication. In courtyards and gardened homes, letters bring an additional sensory dimension. He notices the scents of herbs, flowers, or warm kitchens as envelopes are exchanged. The act of delivery becomes intertwined with subtle environmental cues: rustle of leaves, the soft clinking of keys in a lock, or the faint aroma of tea in the air. These details, though peripheral, contribute to the emotional resonance of correspondence, reinforcing the sense that human connection is embedded not only in words, but in the context of everyday life. Some letters contain celebrations or congratulations. A note marking a birthday, a small victory, or a personal achievement may seem modest, yet it carries the warmth of recognition and shared joy. The postman recognizes the subtle gestures within these envelopes: an extra flourish in handwriting, a folded corner, or a slightly scented paper. Each choice communicates thoughtfulness and care, reflecting the attention that the sender devotes to expressing emotion in a tangible form. Delivering these notes becomes a quiet act of participation in the town's collective experience, where ordinary life and human emotion intersect gently. Other letters bring updates, news of health, or minor hardships. A neighbor might write of recovering from a cold, a relative may describe the progress of a household task, or a friend may note the slow return of the seasons. These small revelations, though unremarkable in the broader sweep of history, are deeply human. The postman's careful handling ensures that each piece of news, each narrative thread, reaches its intended reader intact, allowing continuity of life, awareness, and social connection to persist. In observing and delivering, he becomes an invisible custodian of the town's quiet stories. Occasionally, letters bear delicate visual elements, small sketches, diagrams, or carefully arranged initials. These embellishments, though subtle, enhance the narrative, inviting the postman to pause and appreciate the sender's artistry. He notes the care with which lines curve, the positioning of words on the page, and the balance between text and empty space. Each element speaks to thoughtfulness, reflecting attention and intention in ordinary correspondence. Such moments cultivate mindfulness, offering the postman through him, the reader, a gentle reminder of the beauty in everyday communication. Even the act of organizing letters back at the post office holds meditative quality. Each bundle is checked, compared, and placed in order, ensuring smooth delivery and accurate correspondence. Wooden pigeonholes and neatly stacked envelopes create a rhythm, a sense of calm structure amid the flow of information. Sliding envelopes into slots, feeling the texture of paper, and noting names and addresses allow the postman to engage fully with each piece of communication. There is satisfaction in this precision, a quiet joy in completing tasks carefully and thoughtfully. Seasonal changes influence correspondence as well. Frosted mornings, spring blossoms, summer warmth, and autumn's fading light all shape how letters travel and how they are received. The postman notices these variations, adjusting his route and pace accordingly. Letters themselves carry traces of seasonal life: a pressed flower tucked into an envelope, a faint smudge of mud from a rural sender, or the faint aroma of herbal remedies included for warmth. These sensory cues enrich the narrative, deepening the postman's awareness of connection and continuity. In the final rounds of the day, the postman walks streets softened by twilight, delivering letters with care and attentiveness. He observes how recipients interact with their mail-unfolding envelopes slowly, reading aloud softly, or tucking notes into drawers for later reflection. These quiet acts of attention highlight the emotional resonance of written communication, reinforcing its role in sustaining human relationships across space and time. Each delivery is an invitation to pause, reflect, and participate in a network of thoughtfulness and shared experience. By the time he returns to the post office, the day's letters have carried countless stories, emotions, and intentions. Some have brought joy, others subtle reflection, and many the simple continuity of everyday life. The postman, through careful handling, observation, and thoughtful delivery, becomes a silent participant in these narratives, bridging distances and fostering human connection. In each envelope, there is a quiet story, a gentle rhythm of communication, empathy, an attentive presence that links past and present, sender and recipient, within the gentle cadence of ordinary life. Night falls gradually over the Victorian town, its arrival subtle and measured, like a soft breath across cobblestones and rooftops. The fading glow of gas lamps casts long golden reflections along the streets, mingling with the cooler shadows that stretch from doorways, chimneys, and garden walls. Windows, now darkened, reveal only the faintest hints of interior light, signaling that the day's work has come to a close. The streets, which earlier had carried the gentle sounds of footsteps, carts, and distant voices, now rest in quiet, a soothing lull enveloping the town. The postman, whose day began with pale light brushing the rooftops, now steps softly toward his final rounds, aware of the subtle rhythm and patterns of evening. In the fading light, he passes familiar lanes with a calm attentiveness, observing the quiet transformation of his surroundings. Shadows deepen beneath arches and alleyways, lending a serene stillness to the town. Each building seems to exhale, the brick and stone surfaces softened by the gentle cloak of night. The air is cool and fragrant, carrying faint scents of wood smoke, distant kitchens, and the lingering aroma of flowers from private gardens. The postman notices these details, allowing his senses to absorb them fully. Each inhalation a quiet meditation, each step a rhythmic reminder of continuity and care. Returning parcels and letters to the post office marks the final act of the day. Wooden counters, pigeonholes, and neatly arranged satchels are bathed in the soft glow of lantern light. The postman lifts each item carefully, placing them in their proper location with deliberate movements. Even the act of storing letters becomes ritualized, a practice of mindfulness and attention. Leather satchels, polished and worn from years of daily use, are set gently aside, their straps resting in familiar folds. Each clasp and buckle receives a final inspection, ensuring the tools of his trade are ready for the next day. The tactile sensation of smooth leather, folded paper, and wooden surfaces reinforces a sense of calm satisfaction. The postman pauses near the doorway of the post office, listening to the subtle ambience of night. There is a soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant cry of an owl, and the gentle lapping of the river against stone embankments. These sounds, unobtrusive yet persistent, remind him that the town continues to breathe even in rest. He observes the reflection of lamplight on wet cobblestones, noticing the small pools of liquid that mirror the evening sky. Each detail is appreciated quietly, allowing for reflection on the day's work, the connections maintained, and the small but significant impact of his labor on the rhythm of the town. Along residential streets, doors are closed and shutters drawn. The faint glow of candles or lanterns through lace curtains suggests the private lives within. Families preparing for sleep, meals concluded, and quiet conversation fading. The postman delivers his final letters, the weight of his satchel now lighter, each delivery marked by a deliberate attentiveness. He moves with care, pausing at each doorstep to ensure letters are safely placed, observing the subtle gestures of recipients, a nod, a soft murmur of thanks, a gentle smile. Even these small interactions, brief and unobtrusive, carry significance, reinforcing the quiet continuity of human connection that permeates his daily work. Crossing bridges for the last time, the postman notices the reflective surface of the water beneath him. Moonlight, now rising, casts silvery streaks across rippling currents. Ducks or swans glide lazily, their movements gentle and unhurried. The soft murmur of flowing water complements the rhythm of his steps, creating a natural soundtrack for this final stage of the day. Each bridge and riverside path holds memories of repeated passage, routines established over weeks, months, and years. The act of returning along these familiar routes brings comfort, reinforcing a sense of place, belonging, and attentive awareness. He passes quiet courtyards and gardened homes, where evening fragrances linger, herbs, flowers, and the earthy scent of soil. Gate latches click softly behind him, and the occasional flicker of candlelight through window panes adds warmth to the cool night. The postman observes the gentle sway of branches in the breeze and the subtle rustle of nocturnal creatures moving about. Each sensory detail contributes to the layered experience of nightfall. The tactile sensation of smooth envelopes, the gentle weight of the satchel, the visual harmony of light and shadow, and the soft ambient sounds of a town settling into rest. Returning to the post office, the postman finds the space quiet and ordered. Desks, pigeonholes, and parcels await the next day's work, arranged with care and deliberation. The tactile routine of placing letters in neat stacks, closing pigeonholes, and aligning parcels provides a satisfying sense of closure. The postman's hands move slowly and thoughtfully, each gesture deliberate and measured, a reflection of the attentiveness cultivated over countless mornings and evenings. Polishing satchels, inspecting ink pads, and arranging stamps all are acts of care, imbuing the objects with readiness for tomorrow, while offering the postman a meditative rhythm in the present moment. Outside, the streets are now nearly silent. Gas lamps flicker in the slight evening breeze, casting elongated shadows across cobblestones. The postman pauses momentarily to look back along familiar streets, observing the interplay of lamplight, shadow, and architecture. The town appears serene and composed, a network of subtle human activity and quiet natural rhythms woven together. Even the smallest signs of life, shuttered windows, a faint glow behind curtains, or a solitary cat crossing the street, contribute to the overall sense of calm and continuity. He reflects on the day's work, noting the continuity of routines and the small acts of care that defined his role. Each letter delivered represents a thread of connection between people, each interaction a moment of empathy and acknowledgement. The postman carries with him an awareness of these quiet human stories, a sense that his measured, attentive labor supports the gentle rhythm of life in the town. There is satisfaction in this subtle but essential participation, a feeling of quiet accomplishment without fanfare or recognition. As he closes the post office door behind him, the postman sets his satchel by the wall, allowing it to rest alongside tools and objects that have accompanied him through countless days. The familiar weight, once a presence during movement, now rests in stillness, signaling the completion of routine and the preparation for rest. The tactile reassurance of leather, metal clasps, and organized letters embodies a sense of continuity and readiness for tomorrow. Even in stillness, these objects carry the echoes of action, rhythm, and purpose, comforting both the postman and those who will benefit from his care the following day. Walking home along the final quiet streets, the postman experiences the subtle beauty of nightfall. The interplay of moonlight, gas lamps, and shadow creates a visual texture both soothing and contemplative. The air, cool and lightly scented, encourages slow breathing, grounding the postman in a rhythm that mirrors the calm pulse of the town itself. The repetition of footsteps, now softer and measured, contributes to a reflective awareness, allowing observation of small details, a flower closing for the night, a gate latch clicked shut, or a drifting wisp of smoke from a distant chimney. The postman's home, modest and welcoming, offers warmth and rest. Inside, hearth fires crackle gently, sending subtle warmth and comforting aromas into the room. Letters and satchels are set aside, boots are removed, and garments loosened. The day's work is complete, and the postman allows himself to settle into calm reflection. He considers the quiet flow of correspondence, the small human gestures encountered along streets, and the rhythm of routine that underpins the life of the town. There is satisfaction, quiet joy, and a sense of belonging embedded in these patterns of attentiveness, empathy, and deliberate care. Outside the town is fully at rest. Windows are dark, streets empty, and the gentle night air envelops buildings, gardens, and bridges alike. Even as the postman prepares for sleep, the city retains its quiet life, subtle sounds mingling with the rustle of leaves, the distant sigh of water, and the faint clink of shutters settling for the night. The postman's day, though ordinary in appearance, has woven together human connection, careful attention, and meditative movement, leaving a trail of calm influence throughout the town. The chapter concludes in the stillness of night, with the postman resting, satchel set aside, and letters safely stored. The rhythm of daily life, marked by attentive steps, tactile engagement, and careful observation, has found closure. The streets, houses, and gardens embody the calm continuity of ordinary life, reflecting the gentle labor and quiet presence of one who moves thoughtfully through the day. Nightfall, therefore, is not merely an end, but a soft punctuation, a pause for reflection, gratitude, and preparation for another day of mindful engagement with the world. As night settles over the quiet Victorian town, and the postman's day concludes, it is worth pausing to reflect on the gentle rhythm that has carried him through streets, alleys, bridges, and courtyards. Across the span of a single day, or perhaps across countless days, his footsteps have traced patterns of continuity, observation, and thoughtful care. From the first pale light of dawn to the final glow of gas lamps in the evening, each action, each pause, and each letter has formed a soft, unbroken chain of human connection. This chain is not marked by grand events or dramatic gestures, but by the subtle, consistent attention paid to small things. The careful handling of a letter, the polite nod to a shopkeeper, the brief observation of shadows shifting along familiar walls. The postman's work reminds us that even the simplest routines can hold profound meaning. Sorting letters at the post office, feeling the smooth texture of paper, noting names and addresses, all contribute to a rhythm that bridges people across space and time. Each envelope is a vessel of human thought, emotion, and intention, carrying greetings, gratitude, or quiet news from one home to another. In delivering these messages, the postman becomes part of an invisible network of care, weaving together lives and moments with deliberate attentiveness. In his footsteps, we can see the beauty of ordinary labor elevated into a meditative practice, where consistency, patience, and empathy create harmony in the world around him. Throughout the day, the town itself participates in this gentle cadence. Cobblestone streets, wooden bridges, and gardened courtyards respond to the passage of the postman as he moves along familiar routes. Morning mists and afternoon sunlight, the shifting shadows of rooftops and archways, and the subtle sounds of birds or distant river currents provide a sensory accompaniment to his work. Each environment is observed, not hurriedly, but with quiet mindfulness, allowing the ordinary to appear extraordinary. Even the act of pausing, resting at a fountain, or beside a doorway, becomes a moment of reflection, an opportunity to notice life's small details and appreciate the interplay of human activity with the natural and built environment. The physical tools of his trade, the satchel, leather boots, ink, and stamps, are more than instruments. They are companions in a life lived attentively. Polished and maintained, they bear the marks of daily use, while reminding the postman of the continuity of his role. Handling them, inspecting them, and preparing them for the day ahead, he cultivates a ritual of care that mirrors the care he extends to the people whose correspondence he safeguards. There is a poetry in this attentiveness. The small weight of a satchel on a shoulder, the gentle slide of paper into pigeonholes, and the smooth rhythm of steps along familiar paths all form a tapestry of quiet diligence. Each chapter of his day reveals a layer of this contemplative life. Dawn mist over rooftops and early letters introduces the sense of beginnings, subtle anticipation, and careful preparation. Walking through sleeping streets establishes awareness of place, rhythm, and the soft interaction of light and shadow. Sorting letters at the post office invites mindfulness and reflection, highlighting the tactile and procedural satisfaction that comes from deliberate attention. Midday pauses and reflections, visits to market stalls, and interactions with shopkeepers deepen empathy, showing the ways small human gestures sustain community and trust. Evening shadows, returning letters, and the final placement of the satchel signify closure, rest, and satisfaction, providing a soft punctuation to the day's narrative. Through this lens, the Victorian postman's routine is revealed as both ordinary and profound. His life embodies a quiet discipline, where each action, however small, contributes to a larger sense of harmony. The letters themselves are miniature stories of connection, notes of gratitude, brief updates, requests, or celebrations. Each one demonstrates the enduring value of thoughtful attention, patience, and human presence. By carrying these messages, Carefully, the postman participates in a shared rhythm of life that transcends individual experience, linking homes, streets, and hearts across time. The gentle cadence of his footsteps offers lessons for reflection. There is rhythm in routine, comfort in predictability, and joy in mindfulness. Observing small changes in seasons, noticing shadows shift, feeling textures of paper and leather, all enhance the experience of living attentively. The town, its residents, and even the unseen natural world interact with his presence, creating a network of subtle influence and quiet care. In this network, everyday acts gain significance. Ordinary streets become stages for small moments of empathy, and the repetitive movements of labor transform into meditation. As night deepens, the postman's journey comes full circle. Streets empty, lanterns glow, and the town rests under a gentle blanket of darkness. Letters are tucked away, satchels lie still, and the cycle of human connection is paused, ready to resume at dawn. In this stillness, the town itself seems to exhale, the buildings, gardens, and bridges holding the memory of daily movement, attentive observation, and quiet service. There is a serenity in the pattern, a sense of order without urgency, and a model of life attuned to rhythm, empathy, and simple beauty. This conclusion is more than an endpoint. It is an invitation to carry these reflections forward. In observing the postman's careful movements, measured steps, and gentle attention to correspondence, we are reminded of the quiet significance of ordinary actions. There is value in patience, in noticing small gestures, in maintaining continuity, and in embracing rhythm. Life's beauty often lies not in dramatic events, but in consistent care, reflective observation, and mindful interaction with the world. By following the postman's day, we witness a template for gentle engagement with life, one where attentiveness and empathy create calm, continuity, and connection. Let this story linger in the mind as a meditation. The soft light of street lamps, the cool night air, and the subtle presence of routine offer a model for peaceful existence. As the postman rests, as the satchel lies still, and as letters await tomorrow's journey, we can reflect on the quiet power of regular, attentive work. The small human connections that shape communities. Greetings, gestures, written words reveal themselves as the foundation for a life both ordinary and profound. Each step, each delivery, and each observation contributes to the rhythm of the town and the gentle continuity of human experience. In remembering this day, we are invited to slow our own pace, to notice the textures around us, the movement of light and shadow, the changing seasons, and the quiet patterns of human life. The Victorian Postman teaches that attentiveness, care, and patience are forms of empathy, that routine itself can be meditative, and that even the simplest gestures have enduring significance. His footsteps on cobblestones, the soft weight of his satchel, and the careful handling of letters all serve as a quiet testament to the rhythm and poetry of everyday existence. As we close our reflection, the town sleeps, the streets are still, and the postman rests in the calm embrace of evening. The stories carried in letters, the continuity of work, and the attentive care he demonstrates remain in memory, a model of connection, mindfulness, and gentle observation. These final moments invite us to breathe slowly, imagine soft textures and quiet streets, and carry the calm, deliberate attention exemplified by one person's day into our own experience. In the small, ordinary rhythms of life, there is enduring beauty, quiet resilience, and the gentle satisfaction of work well done.